to stand in our way. Universal suffrage on a common voters' roll in a united, democratic and non-racial South Africa is the only way to peace and racial harmony.
It's 11 minutes past 9 on SFM 104 to 107 nationwide. That, of course, as we get into the talking point for Wednesday, the 11th of February, is the voice of South Africa's first democratically elected president, former President Nelson Mandela. It was on this day, the 11th of February 1990, that he was released from Victor Verster prison. He made this speech on the evening of his release at the Cape Town City Hall, addressing thousands who were gathered to celebrate his release. With that, welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Talking Point here on SFM. My name is Khomozo KG Mweketi. We're leading the conversations that move us. Our studio number 086 0002032. The SMS line 41391. The SMS is going to cost you around 50 on WhatsApp 0614104107. On X we are at SFM Radio, and please hashtag SFM Talking Point whenever you talk to us. Coming up on the program today at 9:32, we're going to the Madlanga Commission, and yesterday the city of Eguruleni's suspended head of legal Kemi Behari conceded that he made false statements to the Madlanga Commission. He had initially submitted a statement to the Commission saying the municipality never intended to challenge the findings of IPID regarding investigations into the suspended Eguruleni Deputy Metro Police Chief Julius Mkhwanazi. You may recall that in 2023, IPID found that Mkhwanazi entered the municipality into an irregular contract with Ket Vusmusi Matlala's company. The commission resumes at 9:30 this morning. We'll go straight there just after the news headlines. Yesterday was a busy day. Doesn't matter how you sliced it, because forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan finally took the stand in person. You know that, of course, because I heard your many comments on Tula Sizwe Simelana's show, The Morning Brief, this morning. He took the stand in person yesterday at Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee, telling MPs why he had taken an oath to tell the truth. He had taken an oath to tell the truth, he was not obliged to answer every question if doing so could place his family at risk, and MPs didn't take this well, demanding full cooperation from him. And as the proceedings went on, O'Sullivan denied being involved in state security after 94. He revealed that the late National Police Commissioner Jackie Silebi compromised his position in the SAPS, as he was also a senior member of the ANC. He also said that he said later that President Cyril Ramaphosa was his student in the early 1990s when he was lecturing reservists at the Police Academy in 1997. He continues his testimony today. I was traveling a lot between Monday and Tuesday, between here and the Midlands of KwaZulu-Natal, which makes always for a very long trip. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and your opinions on what did ultimately transpire at both the Madlanga Commission and the Ad Hoc Committee. 086 000 086 2032. But interestingly enough, one of the people I respect the most because of the work that she does in the GAPV space and the fact that she's a renowned advocate is Brenda Madumise Pajibo, who wrote on Facebook in one of her posts, Paul O'Sullivan, despite lacking formal qualifications, was also able to train police reservists as a reservist himself, and subsequently trained the current president of South Africa on the Bill of Rights, we need to identify the individuals who facilitated this appointment. 086 000 2032 is the number to dial, 086 000 2032. We'll go to a break and then come back with your calls and your voice notes. We have 15 minutes before we go and join the Madlanga Commission.
The Morning Brief.
The move to take Thabo Bester and Vusumuzi Ket Matlala to Ebongweni in Kokstad.
We need to act because you don't want a situation where what I mentioned earlier, escapes, assaults, even death happens in your hands as a correctional services officer.
Was there a threat of that happening with these two inmates?
The security analysis showed that we cannot continue to have these inmates incarcerated at Hoshimamburu, which is a second tier in terms of safety and security. We had to go to the highest, and the only highest is Ebongweni.
That's Mahoti Tobachale, National Commissioner of Correctional Services.
This is Dula Sizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. Call us on 086 000 2032.
16 minutes past 9. Let's go to your calls. They say your name is Force Mental. Is that your real name?
Hi, good morning, KG. Yes, my name is actually Israel Mudisautile. The Force Mental name is the name that came with our understanding and interpretation of the Zumaism philosophy of Umkhonto Wesizwe. They then called me Force Mental.
Sure, I'm listening, my brother.
Yes, ma'am. No, KG, madam, man, we wanted to talk to the issue of corruption. Corruption in the province is very rife, really, and it's not helping for us to be whinging and whining, because we're speaking to the same people who does not want to do anything about this. As MK, really, in view of the corruption that has really taken the fabric of our municipalities, we really would like to invite you to come and see for yourself. Because in the coming weeks, we will be stating peaceful protests along the side of this corruption that has eroded public trust from our community. You know, there's a time, Madam KG, in the Bible where a donkey is said to have spoken. And I think those times are now, because really the level of corruption that has happened in our municipality, it renders our municipality a crime scene.
Kana, where's Bloemhof? Is that where? In Bloemfontein?
No, Bloemhof, just 130 kilometers outside of Klerksdorp.
Oh, okay. But it falls, therefore, then under the Northwest government?
Administration, yes.
The administration, yeah?
Lekwatemameng actually falls under Dr. Rook Sokhomotsi, which is one of the largest districts in the province. The province is 4.
So, as an MK member, what kind of participation do you have in the Northwest government in terms of numbers?
In terms of numbers, remember that we're coming from that murky, what you call, where the elections were not, they were not free and fair. We had actually won the elections as the court cases that we had opened. So those remain subject to then what the IEC has then written. But we know we have won the elections.
Allegedly.
Oh yes, but give us the process. Let the process unfold will prove that we have won the elections.
Okay.
But suffice to say that we stand and rise with our people, Madam KG, because corruption has eroded. The land is still a myth to Africans. Good life is still a myth to Africans. And we keep on believing and believing. So as MK, working even with farmers here in the province, we together we will show South Africa the level of crime and corruption that is taking place in our province.
Okay. Thank you, Force Mental, and all the best. Vuyiswa, you're in Parktown North. You want to talk Paul O'Sullivan and those who believe Trump can help us. Morning.
Yes, good morning, Katie. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? Long time no speak.
Yeah, you know, the commission is taking the advantage that we can contribute on the platform, but it's fine. We are addressing issues of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Katie, this man called Paul O'Sullivan, when I was at community safety, we used to sit with colleagues and even these generals.
You need to what with colleagues?
We used to sit down and ask ourselves about this man because, community safety, most of these police in Gauteng, they were reporting to us. But we would have conferences where we meet the entire commissioners and national commissioner, even the minister of police. Questions were, were actually coming up in massively. Who is he? Why is he? What is his interest? But going on trying to find this character. For me, it was like this man is planted, this man is a spy, this man is sent to destroy, and the lies yesterday and him and Kemi, they're pathological lies. I've been listening to this and asking myself, what kind of characters are these? Are they human beings? Asking myself a lot of questions. But on the Trump issue, quickly, is that I went to the U.S. Briefly for 2 weeks when my sister-in-law raised concern and said, "Yay, please come home. Come, let us address
your sister-in-law calls America home for you."
Because I was married to her brother, but he passed on.
Okay.
So the assets for both our children. And she said the situation does not really promise. One day we'll find that we don't have anything. So come, let us make sure that we secure these assets. America, as you land at JF Kennedy and, you make your way out, you get out, people are crying, food has gone so high. Things are bad in the U.S. The atmosphere itself is concerning. You can actually feel it's not what you actually usually knew. But when you land at JF Kennedy, you are in America and you feel like.
I have to go to a break now, but my comment to you regards the letter and what you said and the change in the air when you go there is that, as the Chinese say, we all get the government we deserve. It's 9:22.
You are listening to The Full Circle,
a space where generations come together in conversation that seek to spark curiosity, inspire innovation, and feed the curious mind. For arts, culture, and robust conversations, join me every weekday between 1 and 3 p.m. on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga as we explore the stories, lessons, and conversations that guide us back to self.
If you love live music in beautiful spaces, Symphony by the Water is one to diarize. It takes place at Midmar Dam on Saturday, the 7th of March 2026, featuring the KZN Philharmonic Orchestra with an incredible lineup of South African artists. Tickets are available now at Web Tickets, Pick and Pay, Exhibition and Stall Space. You can follow Symphony Waters on Facebook, on Instagram, and on TikTok. It's 9:23.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
On the lack of decorum, respect, and the rule of law in the Ad Hoc Committee when asking witnesses questions. It is a kangaroo court. They've turned it into a kangaroo court. The tone, it's as if an adult speaking to a child. I have never, ever, you don't find it in the Madlanga Commission. It's imbued in decorum and legality and respect. But the Ad Hoc Committee is a kangaroo court. Look, it's not only for Mr. Sullivan, even for Mr. Matlala, you find an Ad Hoc Committee member saying you are a criminal, you are an extortionist. Ask questions. You are not a court of law. You are telling the Ad Hoc Committee, the judge, the jury, and the executioner. They must be trained, these people. They must be.
Morning, KG. I'm sick and tired of breakaway parties. They think they are better. But they were there, others, for 9 years. Ad Hoc Committee, I'm also sick and tired of it. There's a competition of questions because they are campaigning for their parties. lambasting each other. It's a show off party, show off competition of questions rather than focusing. Thank you, KG.
Good morning, KG and the listeners. This popular artist in Polokwane, who has been found with prohibited items in prison, I believe that SAPS members or wardeners are involved. So we need to find who assisted him in smuggling those things inside. It's like these heat cases we are facing here. The masterminds, the reason these things are ballooning, we get the people who have been caught, but the masterminds are not taken into docket. So that's the problem. So I'm trying to say, in short, police or wardeners who assisted in the smuggling of those drugs or whatever in prison should be brought into book, should be investigated, brought into book, and be fired.
As of SAFM, Sis KG, I like to talk regard to ESCOM. ESCOM is very expensive, and also why ESCOM, when you buy electricity with 100 rand, the unit, they don't come with that 100 rand. For instance, if you buy airtime with 10 rand, the balance when you check is gonna be 10 rand. Why ESCOM is doing this? Why is robbing us? Like seriously. And those units, they don't last. Mr. President, can you please check for this? We are sick and tired about ESCOM, like serious KG. See you from.
Hi, KG and the SAFM listener. KG, you know what? Yesterday it was the day when Sabelo Palmer of the PAC APLA passed on. But I never even heard a word from any radio station, any SABC media talking about. But if it was for the other parties, especially the ANC or whatever, Inkatha, we will even know him before the week started about that.
Hello, KG. I'm Tulane Kunene. If I hear the voice for Mandela, I wish must open the holes, go inside, because he don't help me. Since even the things that is happening is not this thing for the fighters like Krisani and others. Nelson Mandela, he bought the house to the nice place, like there by Joburg, the nice place. Who came to jail, then he got the nice house. Where they get the money, it look like they sell us. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep your voice notes coming on 0614104107. Let's go to calls. Lord in Alberton. Hi, Lord.
Good, my sister. Are you well?
I'm good.
Good, man. I will be so brief due to time constraints. Seemingly, our municipalities, including our metros, are experiencing large-scale challenges in terms of servicing the citizens all around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to preempt the solemn messaging of the president tomorrow evening.
You really think at this point, though, you can make a major change in what he's going to say?
Yeah, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hopefully, if I can put that phrase.
Mm-hmm.
But the emphasis that the president might put is how these shortcomings in the municipalities are going to be arrested henceforth. Maybe what I can suggest is that maybe there can be a workable master plan that can be implemented to tackle all these maladies in our municipalities. You know, I'm here in the Ekurhuleni during the term of the tenure of Comrade Njandile Masina. This municipality as a city, at least things were moving the right way.
Really?
Now, if you can...
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
You know my family's from Ekurhuleni, you know that, right?
Yeah, but comparatively...
Okay. Unfortunately, I see Madlanga coming in with Co. We have to go. It's 9:30.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, residents from several areas in Johannesburg, including Melville, Brixton and Parktown West, are protesting over the ongoing water outages and a lack of communication from Joburg Water and Rand Water. Johannesburg is currently facing significant water outages, with many residents experiencing disruptions for over 2 weeks due to infrastructure failure. Police in KwaZulu-Natal say no police officer was injured in a shootout in which 4 alleged suspects were killed in Inanda, north of Durban. The 4 men were wanted for serious crimes, including murder. And Zimbabwe's cabinet has approved draft legislation that would allow 83-year-old President Emmerson Mnangagwa to extend his stay in office until at least 2030. I'll have details on these and other stories at 10.
Welcome to it. This is season 1 of Playlist happening right here at Maloka, and believe me, it's a party.
Set your reminder every Friday, 9 p.m. Playlist at Maloka is in the building.
Sanibonani dumelang absheni lochani Mzansi igama lam nguzanele untomdodwa izinhluzalza, but you can simply call me Uzanele Mthombeni. I am your new host, khona yi Ekaslami, the TV show that profiles some of your absolute faves, celebrities. I'm talking when an actor, musician, bona, politician, benekanti zonke bonke zikhona, and we take them to Ekasi and find out who exactly they were before all the glitz, glam, lights, cameras, and action. Oh, bye, Uzi. Uzi, mutokulayo. Kula kamnandi.
Ekaslami, Tuesday at 6 on SABC 1. Mzansi for sure.
As we celebrate 90 years of existence, SAFM takes you back to the voices that shaped a nation.
Now leave the SABC and see the tower block lit up, 27 stories of light. Move from Auckland Park into the shadow of the Hillbrow Post Office Tower.
This is the English service of the SABC. Here is the news, read by Patricia Carr. A member of the Planning Committee of the President's Council, Mr. Nick Turnich, has been appointed chairman of the Council's Community Relations Community.
90 years of trusted voices. This is SAFM. You are listening to the Madlanga Commission, live on SAFM.
Okay. You should have before you 2 small white files.
Correct.
If you look at the spine of each file, you will see that the one has got your name and is marked statement, and the other is marked annexure.
Correct.
So if I want to refer to any one of the 2, I will say we are going to the statement file or to the annexure file. So I would invite you now to go to the statement file, please.
I have it ready.
Do you confirm that you have provided a statement to this commission for purposes of its inquiry?
I can confirm that.
Please open the file marked statement and look at that document. It has at page 1 in the trim lines your name. Is that, and it's a 25-page document with a signature and a date at the end at page 25. Do you see that?
Yes, I see that.
Do you confirm that that is the statement you provided to this commission?
I can confirm, commissioners, that this is the statement that I've deposed.
And do you stand by the contents of the statement?
Yes, I stand by the contents of the statement.
Thank you. Can I invite you then to page 1 of your statement?
Correct.
And your first chapter there is an introduction about yourself. If you could introduce yourself without necessarily reading out your personal details as reflected therein.
Thank you, commissioners. I'm the Director, Investigation and Provisional Coordinator of the Independent Police Investigative Directorate. We are based here at head office at 473 Stanza Pape Street, Arcadia. I am currently serving as the IPIT, Acting National Head of Investigation, with my PESAL here, 6339875.
It's okay.
Thank you.
That's the part I didn't want you to read out,
Okay.
but noted. Before we continue, perhaps just to put into perspective, Chair, Mr. Kiafelagai's testimony. The commissioners will note that he deals with the legislative context and IPID mandate, but that is only in brief and in passing, and soon thereafter his statement concentrates on the Gauteng region with the eventual focus on Ekurhuleni. So that is how the evidence will run, and we'll not be talking in large part about any other area in the country except Ekurhuleni. With that background then, Mr. Kiefelakai, you have the next chapter headed Legislative Context and IPID Mandate and the types of matters that must be investigated. In this regard, you make reference to particular sections of the IPID Act. So if you could just quickly talk us through that.
Thanks, Commissioners. I'm going to read just this part, and when I come to the Section 28, subsection 1 of the IPID Act, I'll just talk to it without reading word by word. The legislative context and IPID mandate. The IPID is a national body established in terms of Section 206, subsection 6 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. The operational requirements of the IPID are provided by the IPID Act, Act 1 of 2011. The Act empowers the IPID to play a crucial role in promoting transparent, accountable police in South Africa by investigating serious criminal offenses and misconduct by SAPS and the MPS members. Now, talking to the MPS, just to put the context there, is the Municipal Police Service that relates to the Metropolitan Police Departments. Now, with regard to the types of the matters that IPID is responsible for, you see there in paragraph 4 is in terms of section 28, as I've indicated, that relates to 4.1, which is death in police custody, death as a result of police action, any complaint relating to the discharge of an official firearm by a police officer. And also we deal with matters relating to rape by a police officer. It doesn't matter whether that police officer is on or is off duty. And then we also deal with the matters relating to any rape in police custody. And custody would mean that when the person is in control, or rather the police are in control of that person. And any complaint of torture or assault against by the police officer in the execution of his or her duties. And we also deal with issues of corruption that initiated by the executive director, which means that the investigations into corruption, and also the minister, the MEC, and the secretary of police. And
my apologies, Mr. Kifelakai. Before you move to the next part, going back to your page 2, at item 4.6, I think a correction is required there based on how you just testified. Currently, it reads, any complaint of torture or assault against a police officer. You intended to say by a police officer. Is that correct?
Yes,
so
it's
if
by a police officer.
So it's not against, so if we may request the commissioners to make that amendment.
Okay.
Thank you. We are now at page 3, you may proceed.
Okay. So there is this 4.8 that would then talk to section 28, subsection 1, H of the IPID Act. It says any other matter referred to it as a result of a decision by executive director, or if so, requested by the minister, an MEC, which is the member of the executive council, or the secretary of police, as the case may be.
Mr. Kefelagai, how are you?
I'm good.
Good morning,
Commissioner.
sir. I want to take you back to paragraph 3 of your statement. Are you there?
Not yet. I'm there now.
And let me tell you why I'm taking you there.
Okay.
In paragraph 3, you talk about the subs. And then in paragraph 4, you talk about police officer. When I read the SEPS Act, there's a section in that act that defines a police officer to include a reservist. So I just want, when you describe the mandate of IPID, explain to us whether or not it includes investigation of criminal conduct by reservists, and then just touch briefly on police informants. I'll tell you why this is important. This commission has heard that, for example, EMPD officers have been working with reservists and informants, and they've been committing criminal acts while working together. And I just want to understand whether IPID's mandate extends to investigating reservists and informants, where it starts and where it stops. So I've given you that context. Maybe then you can enlighten us.
Okay. With regard to the police reservists enlisted as a police reservist, he's given the policing powers. And those policing powers, all the policing powers are given to by the minister. So that person has got the powers to conduct all those responsibilities that should be in line with the SAPS Act. So any contravention by the member should be treated as such by IPID, as though this person is the same as the SAPS members that are permanently enlisted. So coming to the issue of...
Before you leave that, does it mean that you have to be a registered reservist, or even if you are just, say you are a trainee reservist, and while in the process of training you commit a criminal act, does that fall within IPID's mandate, or you must actually be registered and appointed by the minister, as you say?
The enlistment process, I think maybe to put it in a better context, it's something that is analogous to your recruitment and selection process. So that person should have undergone all those processes wherein the appointment is concluded. So before that process is concluded, you are not appointed, you are not enlisted. So other processes these processes of recruitment and selection must be concluded. Then we will then regard you as having been appointed. But I also seem to understand the commissioner that this person has been enlisted and the person still needs to undergo certain training interventions, perhaps to uplift his knowledge and expertise so that he's able to do the work in line with the requirements. If the person happens to be deployed, the fact that the person is still in the process of being capacitated does not exonerate him from taking responsibility, because the reservists cannot act on their own. They need to be supported or led by those that are experienced. I don't know whether I've put it.
Yes, I think you've dealt with the reservist. You wanted to deal with the other people, the informants.
The informants.
Just briefly.
Yeah. The informants, there is a difference between an informer and an informant. These are two concepts, and I think we should, when I deal with this, it should be understood within their context. Informer, it's someone who would volunteer the information, but in some instances, this informer must be registered and be given a sort of a code, and he has to submit his documents and all of that, that once he has done some work, whether in form of milestone, he is then remunerated. But then you will have this person called the informant. This person voluntarily gives the police the information as and when he gets to know about matters of crime and criminality. And he would then share that information with the police. So he doesn't have to be registered. So that informant may just be for the day giving you information about a particular matter, and then it's positive, you act on it. And you might not be seeing him again because he was just giving you a tip-off about criminal activities. That's all, Commissioners.
Thank you. I think you've answered me, and maybe let me just, again, for context. We've had evidence in this case where at least one, if not two, informants, people who were regular informants of the police and provided video evidence to the police, were murdered in suspicious circumstances. So I just wanted to be clear where IPID's mandate starts and ends in relation to those people. So thank you for answering those questions.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
Please proceed, Mr. Kiefela.
I was on 4.8, I think I was...
That's correct.
All right. Yeah, I was talking to 4.8 that this is in terms of section 28, subsection 1H. These are the matters wherein we receive matters that do not necessarily fall within section 21A to G, but it's any other matter that would relate to include those matters that are of service delivery in nature, and other matters that might not necessarily fall within IPID's mandate, that the executive director might see it prudent that this matter should be investigated by IPID rather than the South African Police Service or the DPCI. If I were to give a typical example so that I give a context, say for instance you have a case against the station commander of Pretoria Central. I'm using Pretoria Central because we are in Pretoria. The station commander of Pretoria Central commits a crime of rape, God forbid he won't do it. And now the matter is allocated to a constable in Pretoria Central, and rape happens to fall outside IPID's mandate. It wouldn't be proper that that matter should remain within that station because it might not be investigated properly. There might be interference, there might be intimidation, there might be all sorts of things. So the executive director has that prerogative to say, but given the situation, it would be better to have this matter be investigated independently. And it happens often with matters of domestic violence, wherein the wife and the husband are police officers in the same police station. So in that way, to avoid the conflict, we would then consider taking that matter and deal with it independently, but under this section 28, section 1H of the IPID Act. But I also want to emphasize that also the minister...
It's just that that example does not work in terms of your 4.4, though, at page 2. Or am I missing something?
Yeah.
Your 4.4 says rape by a police officer, whether the police officer is on or off duty. So that would already fall within IPID's mandate anyway. So that's why I say that example doesn't really illustrate what you want to illustrate.
Hence I went into domestic violence, contravention of the Domestic Violence Act.
All right.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Yeah. And with regard to the minister, I was saying the minister as well may request IPID to investigate a matter. The member of the Executive Council, the MEC, as well as the Secretary of Police, they may as well request IPID to do so. It's legislated, so therefore, it's not a remiss that when we receive a matter from MEC or the Secretary of Police or the Minister of Police, then there should be some outcry as to why the Minister has requested IPID to deal with a particular matter. So I thought I should put this context very clear so that the country needs to understand that we are mandated and there is a provision in the Act. And we also deal with issues of systemic corruption within the police. I'm not sure, Commissioner, as to whether I should just in brief unpack systemic corruption, or is it just adequate?
I don't think it is necessary at this juncture because our primary topic for today in Ekurhuleni is not an issue that really arises. So perhaps upon your return, we might unpack it at that juncture, right?
Okay, thanks very much.
But then before you move to section 29, at your 4.8, you referenced the MEC. Should we take that to be the MEC for community safety, specifically, or any MEC?
MEC for community safety.
Thank you. You then may proceed.
All right, sir, before you proceed, part of the evidence that we've had and of matters that the IPID is dealing with relating to EMPD include, for example, theft of what do they call it? Stones. Precious stones. The theft of precious stones from somebody's premises. It includes that.
Yes.
And our understanding is it has been reported to IPID, and IPID is dealing with that. Now, looking at 28.1, where would that fall, that kind of a complaint?
That one would fall under section 28, subsection 1G, which is corruption. And why am I saying that? The facts of the case would then demonstrate to you that it is not necessarily theft in a literal sense. Yes, the person was deprived of ownership, but the manner in which it happened, there was some kind of misrepresentation in the process, and hence the matter is with us.
I think my emphasis was more on where, in terms of that subsection G, you say it is initiated by the executive director on his or her own, or after receipt of a complaint from a member of the public, or referred to the directorate by the minister, MEC, Secretary of Police. So it identifies, G identifies what triggers this corruption investigation.
Yes, very true.
And I think what I'm asking is, does this also permit, for example, the chief of police, because they're not specifically mentioned here?
Yes.
How does the jurisdiction of the IPID arise if a complaint of corruption is laid, say, by the chief of police or another police officer?
It does permit, it can be any other person. It can be any other member of the public. Yes.
Director will not say, well, you are not one of the people that are listed there with the power to complain, and therefore I don't have the jurisdiction to investigate.
True that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Kefalakai, then we were, I think, turning to your paragraph 6.
Or section 29. This is the reporting obligations, commissioners, that the subs and the MPS, they are obligated to report to IPID as soon as they become aware of such matters that they are supposed to report to IPID. And failure to do so will then result to them be subjected to investigation for failure to report.
Please continue.
Okay, thanks. We expect that the station commander, any other member of the subs, any member of the MPS, meaning it doesn't really dictate as to the levels or the ranks of the members within these law enforcement agencies in terms of the reporting obligations. So as I've indicated on 6.2, what should be reported, I've indicated that it's all section 28.1 subsection A cases. I have just mentioned them one by one, commissioners. I do not know whether we should maybe go to the next paragraph because I've already alluded to those provisions of the Act.
Indeed, I would suggest we do so because you have spoken to the provisions of section 28.1, which is what you repeat, as I understand it, at your paragraph 6.2.
Yes.
So we have dealt with that.
Okay.
Okay. You conclude on that topic at page 4, paragraph 6.2.6, that a failure to comply with section 29 obligations constitutes a criminal offense. That's correct.
That's correct. That's in terms of section 33. Commissioners, to demonstrate that indeed this constitutes a criminal offense, we do have statistical data of cases that were opened and investigated by IPID by failure of the members within the law enforcement agencies to report or to refer such matters.
And if I understand your statement correctly, that criminal offense, however, can only be committed by the people you set out in paragraph 6, which is the station commander, a member of SAPS, and a member of the Metropolitan Police Services.
Correct, Commissioners.
Thank you. You then, from page 4, deal with what you call IPID standard operating procedures. Would you like to deal with that?
Thank you, Commissioners. With regard to the standard operating procedures, Commissioners, just to give a bit of a background with regard to our SOP or the standard operating procedures, as we do refer to them to, is that they emanate from the actual IPID Act. And then from the IPID Act, obviously there are regulations that would then serve to regulate how we should function within our environment. For a typical example would be how we should deal with each and every matter. Your case of death as a result of police action, that's basically what the regulations will then attempt, even the time frame, the turnaround time to complete a particular matter. So it is expressed in the regulations. Then from the two documents, the Act and the regulations, that's where now we operationalize this Act and the regulations through the standard operating procedures. And the standard operating procedures are more of a working document. They are more of a guideline as to how we should deal with our cases. And this SOP, they provide for the receipt, the registration, the processing, the referral, and the disposal of complaints and cases, meaning how we deal with the matter as we receive it until its finality. And then it also provides for case intake committee to review, determine, and allocate a case and to give directive on what is to be done in respect of each case. Meaning upon receipt of a complaint, there would be a committee that would sit, dissect this matter, and say this matter, looking at it, we think that it is within our mandate, or it is outside our mandate, or it's a matter that we might have to close it because it's miscellaneous. It doesn't really have substance at all. But it would be the committee sitting, talking to that. And the committee will also give directives and then allocate it to a specific investigator to deal with. And for the purpose of this submission, the IP's process flow for managing complaints and cases is outlined below, noting that the process may vary depending on nature of complaint or case and includes the following. Why this statement is important is because what I have outlined here under is just, it is not for all the cases. It's not a panacea. It's not serves to address all the cases the same way. But I've just put this just to give context, particularly if we were to deal with a case of death as a result of police action, or where a person lost his life or her life as a result of the action of the police. Here I'm saying we reattend the scene of the scene where the death occurred. Record details of the deceased, identify and record details of potential witnesses, authorize the removal of the corpse, collect exhibits and other evidentiary material, where necessary refer exhibits to the forensic lab, visit the deceased next of kin to inform them of the death. Very important that as and when someone has died, we have got the responsibility to go to the family and inform them that we are IP'd, we have this information about the death of your loved one. And we visit and we interview witnesses, we obtain the statements, we attend the postmortem examination. After collecting all evidence and statements, we submit a report to the provincial head or the executive director, make a determination as to whether a member concerned must be arrested or not. If arrest is required, ensure it is carried out in compliance with the Section 39, Act 51 of 1977 of the Criminal Procedure Act and the SOP. So, in our case as IP'd, we know most of our suspects are police members. And we know the kind of the environment the police are working under. So every time when they say the police have shot and killed 3 people, 4 people, we don't just go and arrest them, because there might be rationale behind why they have fired the shots. Because we have observed that in many instances, there would be a shootout between the police and the deceased persons. So we first investigate. Arrest to us is the last option. But there are instances where we effect an immediate arrest. And in the main, or it happens predominantly in instances wherein it's a femicide kind of killing. A man would kill his wife and the child. And there it does leave us with no option but to effect an immediate arrest. But in many instances, we regard arresting a police officer as the last option, because we still have time to investigate and gather facts, other than arresting the police officer on the spot and you investigate, only to find that you expose yourself to unnecessary litigations. So those are the things that we would then take into consideration. Now,
sorry, before you proceed, what you describe in paragraph 9, parts of it seem like a duplication of what the SEPs would do. For example, authorize the removal of the corpse. And I'm really asking you a practical question. 9.7, you say, visit the deceased next of kin to inform them of the death. It seems like a duplication. In practice, how does it work, in fact?
In practice, and I would use death as a result of police action as an example.
Sorry, you'd use?
I'll use, okay, as and when a person is killed by the police and they refer the matter to us, when it gets to us, we reclassify it as death as a result of police action. They would register it as murder, but when they refer to us, it changes its classification. Now, when there is such incident, the police would then immediately notify us. So we do have our investigators on standby 24/7. And as and when an incident occurs, they would then inform those that are on standby, and those that are on standby would then attend to the crime scene and ensure that all these activities are attended to. However, there are instances wherein it's a challenge for IPID. You have a province such as the Northern Cape, which is so vast that when we receive a matter now, the distance that we have to travel to attend to that murder case is 500 kilometers. Sometimes to drive from Kimberley to Port Nolloth, it would take us, it's just about 1,000 kilometers. And the police would then process the crime scene. And that's where independence gets compromised, because that's the reality on the ground now. Sometimes we get multiple murder cases almost at the same time, 3 cases, 3 different places. So those are some of the challenges that are there on the ground.
But I mean, from what I'm understanding, ideally, if things worked perfectly,
yes,
at every scene where there's been a death, let's say, IPID will be there together with the SAPS.
Very correct.
Okay, thank you.
What happens is that, Commissioner, SAPS will cordon off, they will protect the crime scene. Let me use the simple language. They will protect the crime scene and then call IPID, that when IPID arrives, then they hand over the crime scene. But then they will then cooperate in terms of providing the background as to what happened and even giving some statements of what they have on their knowledge of what has transpired.
Okay, thank you.
If I may follow up, I had some questions on paragraph 9 as well. Judging from the response you just gave to Commissioner Baloyi, you have listed at paragraph 9.5 and 9.6 processes that IPID undertakes following a death from conduct of a police officer. I'm interested in 9.5 and 9.6, particularly collect exhibits and other evidentiary material, and 9.6, where necessary, refer exhibits to the forensic laboratory. My question is, and again, judging from the response you gave Commissioner Baloyi, is it your testimony that where the perpetrator is a police officer, that SAPS relinquishes its duty regarding collection of evidence and the chain of custody, and that is assumed by IPID, or not necessarily? What happens there?
In this instance, IPID does not have experts to collect certain evidence, especially the latent evidence. You know, some of the evidence you can't see with your naked eyes. Hence, we would then rely on the SAPS to collect such on our behalf. And with regard to the exhibits having been to be preserved, we follow the due process following the how SAPS would, we would take the exhibits to the very SAPS, because they need to be processed accordingly book them in the so-called SAP 13. The SAP 13 register, of course, is a property exhibit register. So we'll book them in there, and then we will still refer them to the SAPS Forensic Science Laboratory for analysis, because we do not have the capacity. We do not have the financial muscles. But I want to also point out that in terms of that process, it's in very few cases where we would have problems about the work that would have been done by the lab from the SAPS, wherein we would have a problem of the integrity of the information. We do not doubt their integrity and their potential in assisting us in this regard, and we do have cooperation. The only challenge that we would have is the delay sometimes, because the lab would be so much overloaded with backlog and so on and so on. It's a matter that affects all the entities, your SAPs themselves, your DPCI. So it's not a unique thing to IPID. But when we write to them and say they should prioritize a particular matter, they do cooperate and assist us for the purpose of prosecution. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Kifelakai. I think that takes us to your paragraph 10, where you introduce the requirements of Section 7 of the IPID Act.
Okay, thank you. In terms of, on paragraph 10, Section 7 of the IPID Act makes provision for the referral of recommendation to the national or relevant provincial commissioner. SAPS must initiate disciplinary proceedings within 30 days and report to the minister and copy of the secretary and the IPID, which then would refer to the executive director. We also file quarterly reports progress to the minister and copies to the secretary. That's with regard to the recommendations. And yes. I want us to take cognizance to the fact that SAPS must initiate disciplinary proceedings within 30 days. But I did not give expression to the MPS. Then that would then take us to paragraph 11.
Well, before you do so, you specifically point out that at paragraph 10.1.1, that requirement to initiate disciplinary proceedings within 30 days is in relation to SAPS. What is the legal position regarding Metropolitan Police Department? Is there a similar requirement, and if so, where is to be found?
Commissioners, and that's something that I'm going to elaborate on paragraph 11. There has been the legal lacuna in that regard, that the Act does not, the current Act, IPID Act 1 of 2011, does not give expression with regard to the municipal police services insofar as the recommendations are concerned. And that created some kind of frustrations, because once there is a legal gap, anybody can take advantage of that. And that led to some frustrations wherein some of the recommendations seem to have been ignored, or rather, there were concerns that I will speak to at a later stage with regard to some of those recommendations, particularly by the Municipal Police Service.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Yeah, on paragraph 11, Commissioners, implementation of recommendation made by IPID is inconsistent, particularly within Metro Police Department. The IPID Act 1 of 2011 does not prescribe processes for the handling of negative recommendations requiring disciplinary action against transgressing members. Combined with inconsistent reporting lines across Metropolitan Council, the gap undermines accountability and the reinforcement of IPID recommendations.
Yes.
Yeah, Commissioners, this is a challenge that with SAPs, we expect SAPs to initiate within 30 days because it's clear, it's in the law. But with the MPS, there is nothing. However, I want to point out that, and it's there in paragraph 13, which will then serve to address the legal lacuna that I have just alluded to, if I'm allowed to do so.
Indeed, you are, sir.
Yeah. Let me first read paragraph 12. Furthermore, the municipal police would enforce a uniform code of conduct applicable to all employees, including sworn police officers. If you have the type of disciplinary code of conduct that serves to address disciplinary issues for all employees, including the police, the municipal police service within a particular municipality, it becomes a challenge because you want to treat, and it has been the practice that treating the serious matters committed by the municipal police the same way as you do with those of a draftsman, a gardener, a cleaner. I'm not saying cleaners, I'm not trying to be condescending, but I'm trying to express the fact that police are highly regarded as people with some kind of responsibilities, and they need to conduct themselves in a particular way. There is a standard that is set for them, considering their role in terms of their conditions of their establishment, that they should prevent the crime, that they should enforce the bylaws, that they should deal with issues of traffic. But if they do something very contrary to that, that then becomes a problem. Then you want to discipline that person the same way that you discipline the person who failed to clean up the toilet on a particular day. That then is quite a remiss, Commissioners.
Mr. Felakai, one of the issues that arose, I think it was also in the statement of a witness we heard from in the last 2 days, is that where IPID has referred or has recommended that a police officer be disciplined, but at the same time, you've referred the case to the NPA for prosecution. The municipality says the matter is sub judice, therefore we cannot act against this officer. So they will remain in the force until the courts determine whether they are guilty or innocent. And the municipality will only act after the court has said this person is guilty of a crime or not. You can just address that as best as you can.
Yeah, with regard to that part, it's very much easier with the South African Police Service because they are highly regulated, and their disciplinary regulations are very clear. I'm not saying they are perfect. We have identified gaps here and there which are being addressed. But now, when the matter is reported, IPID cannot refer a matter to NPA for decision to decide on prosecution without referring the recommendations which are negative. Negative recommendations means wherein we are saying we have investigated and we have found that there is a case to be answered by your member or members. So it's a process that would run concurrently. The day we send to the NPA is the day we send to the municipality. So much as the test is different that it will be on the balance of probability on the one side and beyond reasonable of doubt on the other side. But the process, we make sure that it runs concurrently. Yes, there are instances wherein we would send only recommendations to the subs to take steps against their members because we cannot find any criminal element on a particular matter. Same with the municipality, for them to take actions. So it is a serious excuse that the matter is sub judice, that we have referred the matter for criminal prosecution. That I don't know where it comes from. That could be just an excuse. There are instances, of course, where you would find that in the SAPS in particular, when they have to institute their disciplinary actions, we arrest the person today. As we are trying to investigate, they then institute what they refer to as expeditious process. That's where now within a week the person is dismissed. Is no longer the member of the South African Police Service because the matter is serious. They cannot sit with somebody who is a criminal within their establishment. So that we know that it does happen. But with this excuse, I think it could only be from the municipality. Now,
before you proceed, I agree with you that it's an opportunistic excuse.
Yes.
That is offered there. But coming back to the recommendation to institute, in fact, we've seen it in a report or something from the IPID to a municipality.
Yes.
It being, in fact, more than a recommendation, it directs that disciplinary action should be taken. Now, and then it says you must then report when you finalize it and then report back to IPID so that we can report, we can do our report to the minister or something. Now, if you don't, what happens if they don't comply? What does IPID do? And I see you say the law, there's a lacuna in the law. I'm more interested in the practically on a day-to-day basis, because there's no point in having this provision that says they have an obligation to conduct disciplinary proceedings where you've recommended or directed that. And if they don't, that's the end of the matter. Or you just file a report to the minister to say, well, they haven't done anything about it. What practically is the consequence? What do you do as IPID?
All right. Thanks, commissioners. Commissioners, when we started in 2012, 1st April, the 1st of April 2012, there were terms of reference that were developed that this is the way in which we are going to cooperate with the stakeholders. And they are very clear in terms of, because we also acknowledged the legal lacuna like I indicated earlier. Subsequent to that, there was an MOU that was signed with all the metros and the SAPS that we do agree that we will deal with these matters in this particular manner, in a way in we will, IPID will send the recommendations to the stakeholders. Subsidies we will initiate within 30 days. And then we will make sure that we provide you with feedback, the outcome and all of that. And because they knew that the Act makes provision for that. And in the main, they are doing that. And then you have the Municipal Police Service, wherein they comply, they do that. But you sometimes have a concern that this application of this MOU and the terms of reference seem to choose as to where to apply. I think in this document, Commissioners, there is a part where I've made reference to a specific matter. But all that I'm saying is that with regard to other members, we see actions being taken. But then it's surprising that there are those that are immune, seem to be immune. And you also observe some kind of political interference, if I to put it.
What does IPIT do with that? I mean, and I think it speaks more to, you see, you in the earlier sections of the statement, you've told us that there is an obligation, there's a reporting obligation, and it's a criminal offense not to report. I think that if you don't comply with Section 29, I think it's...
Correct,
yes.
Commissioners.
And it's an offense, failure to comply. Now, it seems to me that it defeats this part. If you make recommendations for action to be taken, nothing is done, and you don't have the power to do anything about it, which means the SAPs or the MPS are free to decide. As you say, you end up with these inconsistencies, and if there's nothing that IPIT can do about it, because there's no compelling mechanism where you can compel, where people could be disciplined for failing to take action in accordance with IPID, then it's defeating of what looks good on paper, which is we instruct them to comply within 30 days. But that's the end of it, because you don't have the power to do anything about it. How is that managed, and is there any plan, intention to address that? And it takes, it reminds one of that old debate about the powers of the public protector, you know, where a recommendation is made, and then some people understand them to be, I can comply. If I don't comply, that's the end of the matter. No one can do anything about it. I can choose to do what I want.
Thank you, Commissioners. I think I should have responded better to this question from the beginning. As I've indicated, that with SAPs, we do not have a problem at all. We know that we do have a leg to stand on as a department. They know the 30 days, and there is a consultative forum that happens every quarter with the Civilian Secretariat Act for Police, because in terms of the Secretariat Act 2 of 2011, one of their responsibilities in terms of the Act is that they need to monitor the SAPS or the SAPS on the implementation of the IPID Act. So basically the extent to which SAPS is able to implement the SAPS, the IPID recommendations referred to SAPS, but is very silent about those that are referred to MPS. That is what would then use, the Commissioner asked, what are you doing? What we did with some of the cases wherein we were frustrated by the municipal police services, we then rode through the executive director to remind the city manager that we are being frustrated here. We have referred the matter which you have received on a particular day and month and year, and you are quiet. And when there was no response in that regard, we further went in person now to meet up with the MMC and the mayor at the time to say we are frustrated here. we have sent these recommendations, but there is no feedback. We are concerned. Are you able to intervene? They promised that they will intervene. And we gave the document, there was no intervention. So then we had to go back and see, but then what would then be the next recourse? And we were actually trying to find ways. But we then later learned that, and especially after after the establishment of this commission, that we started to see the action, and a serious one for that matter. And even some of the lies that had coming out, our names were dropped and all of that, with all the lies that no, but we have informed, especially myself. There was a document that was on the media saying that I have received a document, but I have reliably been informed that actually that was just another fraud that was committed within a particular of that in that specific municipality.
So that's fine. You do escalate to the political principles with municipalities. I think that's the kind of answer I was looking for.
Okay, thank you.
But maybe lastly, have you given thought to whether it should not be made an offense to fail to comply with the recommendations of the IPID to institute disciplinary proceedings? Has there been that kind of discussion, and would it be something that you would consider as useful and helpful to give effect to the recommendations of the IPID? And here I'm thinking, and if, for example, you direct your recommendation, you would direct the recommendation, as you say here, to the city manager or the executive municipal manager, I think that's what they would be called. So that's who you direct to make sure that there is compliance with your recommendation. And then you back that up with a stick, which says if that is not implemented, the law makes it an offense to fail to abide the recommendation. Have you considered that as IPID, and is it something that you would give consideration to?
Thanks, Commissioners. Commissioners, that process has already unfolded. Following all those challenges, and of course with some, the IPID Amendment Act 15 of 24 has been considered, and at this stage, the proclamation has been made partly by the President, with the remaining 5 clauses that needs to be proclaimed. And currently, the gazetting of the regulations is at advanced stage, and upon the conclusion of such, we would then be able to have subverted or circumvented this problem, because now it is very clear in the law that the municipal manager now will take the responsibility of accounting to the implementation of these disciplinary recommendations.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Kiafela, perhaps let's just take it a step further. And in relation to your paragraph 10.1.1, the 30-day period within which SAPS must implement the engagement you had with Commissioner Baloyi, I think I understood your answer. Is that directive binding on SAPS, firstly, to your understanding, and what would be the consequences? I appreciate the fact that you say that you don't get challenges with SAPS insofar as compliance is concerned, but in the event that SAPS were to fail to comply, with what you have set out in 10.1.1, what would be the consequences, do you know, for SAPS?
Thanks, Commissioners. In terms of SAPS, the law it's very clear that non-compliance would lead to cases being opened, and however, the initiation within 30 days is managed carefully between SAPS and IPID, and there are monthly meetings that are taking place even in provinces wherein recommendations are being discussed. And that meeting is chaired by the Civilian Secretariat for Police Service, and we are able to track progress on each and every case.
Yes, my question is, but you're saying that the Act provides that non-compliance would attract adverse consequences for SAPS.
Yes.
That is how the law provides.
That's how the law provides,
Okay.
Commissioners. Yeah.
Now, the Amendment Act you reference at paragraph 13, as we have understood the evidence thus far, IPID in terms of the 2011 Act does not have power and authority over municipal police services. The old Act as it stood, 2011, that IPID assumed power over MPS through the MOU that was signed.
That's true, Commissioners.
And as we understand it, that Amendment Act of 2024 seeks to legislate precisely what is currently managed in terms of the MOU.
That's correct.
Now, what's your understanding, or two questions for me, that Amendment Act, would it extend the consequences for non-compliance to the municipal manager, same as they would apply to SAPS?
Precisely.
And secondly, our understanding was that that Amendment Act has come into force in part. Some parts are yet to come into force. Specifically as regards this issue, do you know whether the Act has come into force?
Not yet, Commissioners. Is those areas that are being dealt with currently to try and expedite the regulations.
Okay.
They've been published. At the moment, we envisage, Commissioners, that perhaps by Q2, which is August, thereabouts, we should be ready. By then, we believe that all the processes would have unfolded, and the implementation of this Amendment Act would have kicked in. Thank you.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. I have a related but slightly different issue. Say a recommendation is made for disciplinary proceedings to be initiated, and say SAPS or indeed the MPS is not reluctant to act in accordance with the recommendation, but that when they look closely at the matter, they themselves are not satisfied that there is a case to discipline the person concerned. I would assume that it should be open to them to say there is no case here. I'm asking this in the light of 10.1.1 that says SAPS must, the operative word here being must, initiate disciplinary proceedings within 30 days. So would it be perfectly within their remit to say there is no case for disciplining this person here? And if that would be open to them to say so, how must we read the must in your 10.1.1?
Okay, thanks, Commissioner.
I hope I'm making sense.
You do, Commissioner, and I'll respond to that. I understood the question. Yeah, the 30 days is for initiation. Initiation, which then means they should have appointed the functionary the investigator, and so on and so on. That's the 30 days to do all of that. And then they need to then say to us, now we have appointed this investigator, he's dealing with this matter. So they can't come to us within 30 days and say, we don't see the case here. There is no case, because we would have investigated and made negative recommendations as opposed to positive recommendations. And I want to point out something, that there are two types of recommendations: the positive recommendations and the negative recommendations. And the word negative, I think it explains itself. It means bad, it means red. So the positive means we have investigated this matter thoroughly. And after investigating this matter, we have found out that there is nothing wrong on the part of the police. And I want to say that in majority of our cases that we complete, we establish or we uncover that the police would have acted within the limits of the law. But then you would find in a few of those cases where then we would find that indeed there is substance, there is a case to answer. But 30 days is for initiation.
Also, the answer turns on an interpretation of initiate.
Okay, yes.
Thank you.
Did you want to?
Yeah, please, Commissioner.
Yes. That initiate, just to further understand it, you speak of the initiate by conducting an investigation, so they start something. So there's an investigation and there is an initiate, which is to appoint a chairperson of a disciplinary hearing. Until your explanation now, I understood, my impression was that once you've given this directive, recommendation, what it means is the employer, SAPS or MPS, they don't have an option. They must now appoint a chairperson to run a disciplinary hearing. Is that a correct understanding?
Chairperson, it is supposed to be like that. However, there is this other challenge that exists, although it's not as big, but it has been raised with the Secretariat for Police as the people that are responsible to review these policies for our cluster or the ministry. Now, we do experience some challenges wherein we generate we investigate. IPID investigate thoroughly and make recommendations that disciplinary steps must be taken. But SAPS, they've got their own disciplinary regulations of 2017. That requires of the person who is appointed as an investigator. Then they would then re-investigate the matter that has already been investigated by IPID. That is the practice. And IPID has raised some concerns with regard to that, and hence the process to then review the disciplinary regulations of the SAPS. The challenge with that is that a person who is just a cleaner wherever who saw whatever occurred on a day in question when the crime was committed by the police and all of that, he's so confident that this matter is dealt with by IPID, and all of a sudden there is a man in blue uniform coming to say, I want your statement. This person now starts to ask but now what's happening? So that's when now you realize that we start having these recalcitrant witnesses, because now they feel threatened. And if it's a foreigner, you won't see him again. He will flee the country because he has lost the confidence. I mean, SAPS has lost the confidence of this person because of the actions that this person have seen. And now you send another SAPS members, but as far as the person is concerned, he knows that the matter is sitting with IPID. So those are the challenges that we are actually working on. The process has already unfolded, and I believe that that would be the remedy for this problem.
Thank you, Commissioner. Still staying with paragraph 10.1.1, and I would like you to consider my question in the context of SAPS. Let's keep MPS out for the moment. The report that must then be filed to the Minister and the Secretary of Police and IPID, what does that report traditionally contain? What does it speak to? Does it speak to initiation? Does it speak to outcome of a process? What does it traditionally speak to, that report?
The Section 7 report would contain the statistical data on the number of cases that would have been initiated on a particular period, the number of...
apologies, Mr. Kifelaka. Please have regard to paragraph 10.1.1. You state the SAPS must initiate disciplinary proceedings within 30 days and report to the Minister. I take it that the report is in relation to the referral.
Yes,
now,
that's
it's
correct.
that particular report, not the general reporting that is done to the Minister. In terms of Section 7 of IPID Act, the report that is then filed with the Minister and the Secretary of Police after the initiation of the disciplinary proceedings, what does it normally deal with, that report, if you are aware? Thanks.
Yes, I'm aware. Hence, I'm saying it is the kind of report wherein it would contain the statistical data of the initiations that would have happened in the SAPS in a particular period, as well as in the MPS. It would give the breakdown of statistical data of the initiation, just to demonstrate that indeed the recommendations are being dealt with.
Okay, so it's not a report on the specific matter?
It is not a report on a specific matter because it's not even detailed. It's more of statistics.
Yes.
The one that would then talk to specifics, it would be then the other report, that is Section 9N report.
Okay.
That would then break down.
Mr. Kifelaka, my understanding of the question is that the report is not a report on each individual case that was referred.
Correct.
So it is a statistical report covering what has happened during a particular period, so during a particular month. It's like a monthly or quarterly report of all the cases.
Very correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Kifelaka. Clear. And then perhaps, I said lastly, but lastly, does IPID have means of establishing formally whether or not its recommendations have been dealt with, or its directives have been addressed by MPS or SAPS? Is there a consistent reporting to yourselves, or is that the Section 30 process that you reference, the monthly, quarterly statistical reporting?
Okay, thanks, Elsie. That question, what happens, there is control mechanisms that are in place. There are monthly forums that are taking place between SAPS and the Metropolis together with IPID and the Secretariat. And in that meeting, that's where in all the recommendations that have been referred are discussed, looking at the date, the time, and so on, to say, but we have referred this much to you, and specifically this, but we haven't received anything in terms of initiation. We haven't received the outcomes in relation to this. Where are the challenges? So they are discussed on a monthly basis. So that then serves to alleviate the much of the problem. It minimizes the challenges that we have, because much as there are delays, but you would also take note of the fact that then that's where we get to understand the challenges with regard to some of these delays on some of the matters. So the forums are serving as very good, and such reports from the provinces are then cascaded, rather elevated to national office. And once they get to national office, SAPS will intervene into their members, but we also have the consultative forum that sits quarterly with the Secretariat of the Police as part of their mandate, wherein we would then discuss those issues that then need the intervention of the Secretariat in terms of their act.
Now, as a matter of interest, and based on your answer, would I be correct then to assume that, insofar at least Ekurhuleni is concerned, that there should be some record or records somewhere within IPID on what specifically was discussed at these monthly meetings, because I understood you to say it's between SAPS, IPID, and MPS, insofar as Ekurhuleni referrals are concerned, and the outcomes of such discussions. There would be a record of such deliberation within IPID. Would I be correct to conclude?
Commissioners, there are records, monthly records, and there is within IPID a program or a unit that focuses on the meetings that take place. And also, to further demonstrate that is part of the IPID annual performance plan. So every month, every province must have that meeting. It doesn't happen that such a meeting does not happen in a particular province, because it's part of the annual performance plan. And to some extent, that then assists.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, we did hold you up a bit on that part of your statement, but I think now we are at your page 6, and I think we are ready to deal with your next chapter, which you've titled IPID Workload Overview, Key Statistics. If you could summarize for us what you have in the next 3 pages dealing with these statistics. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much, Commissioners. In this regard, is the workload that IPID is having. The backlog cases, we are talking about these old cases, we are sitting at 11,947, and we have got the active cases that were still under investigation as at the end of December 2025. We were sitting with 2,456. And the trend, Chairperson, is that come the end of the financial year, we would be having 14,000 of the cases that are still active. They still need investigation. The investigation is not completed. And then the more we try to complete this backlog cases, this number of backlog cases then populate the post-decision monitoring cases. The more we complete our investigation, take the matters to the stakeholders, such as yourselves, to discipline their members, metros and the NPA, then we balloon the number of those cases that then we refer to them as post-decision monitoring cases, because we have completed them. Now they are going to and from court. They require subpoenas. You have to then transport this witness from point A to point B because he's scared. He cannot go there by himself and all of that. So those are the challenges that we are having. So that would be the post-decision monitoring cases. In total, we were sitting with 48,432 cases. But now, of these 482 cases, 32 cases, we only have 182 investigators countrywide. Now, on average, I'm saying here that one IPID investigator will be sitting with 266 cases. And now, I just want to run through with table 1. I'm not going to stay long there, just with Gauteng only.
Sorry, before you do that,
okay.
In 14.1, that case backlog of 11,947 is at 31 December 2025. That's 14.1.
Yes.
That 11,947 cases. What is the age analysis of it, if you've done that? Because
yes, I would have the age analysis of these cases. I think at the time for 2018 and older, it was just above 2,000. And if I were to be allowed to go to
you don't have to do it now.
Okay.
I'll leave it to Ms. Silla how she wants to guide
We will
it.
locate it in the annexa during tea time, then you'll
Okay.
deal with it then.
All right, so when you do discuss it, it's the age analysis, but also the fact, what is in fact contained in that backlog, because there may be a backlog because you have only 182 investigators, but there may also be cases that are backlogged because you don't have access to witnesses, because of, you understand what I'm saying? Maybe a function of you're investigating problems related to investigating, and therefore you're unable to finalize cases. If you could just distinguish those as well.
Okay.
Thanks, Ms. Sil.
Thank you, Commissioner. We shall attend that to that during tea time, Mr. Kefalagai, and we will locate it in your annexa 1. You confirm? Do you confirm, Mr. Kefalagai, that that information is contained in your annexa 1?
Yes.
And then we'll deal with that during tea.
Okay.
You may then proceed, I think, to deal with your table 1, which is what is projected on the screen.
Thanks, Commissioners. On table 1 is the breakdown per provinces in terms of the total workload, the 48,432, the total investigators, and the number of investigators in each province. And then on the side, it will then give a clear average case load in the respective provinces. If you look at Gauteng, Commissioners, Gauteng on average is sitting at 390. That's out of 32 investigators. And this can also be attributable to the fact that the intake in Gauteng province is very high. And I think it's also compounded by the fact that we receive death cases, if it's not daily, it will just, after a day, you get a death case. Sometimes you get 2 in one day. And sometimes in one incident, it's 4 bodies. It is even worse if we were to go to the statistics of death cases. The average at the time, if you were to look into Gauteng only, one investigator would be carrying 43 death cases. But that would be nothing compared to KwaZulu-Natal. Not just in terms of number of death cases, but the dead bodies. Those are some of the challenges. But quite interestingly, when you look at this stats.
So what you are saying is, even though Gauteng is 390 and KwaZulu-Natal is 325, but death cases in KwaZulu-Natal are more.
Very true.
Compared to death cases in Gauteng.
Very true. The point that I wanted to just raise is that when you see a number of cases in Gauteng, or IPIT having a high number of cases in Gauteng, there is a correlation between what is happening in our communities and what we are having. You will find that if SAPS has got a high number of death cases, IPIT will automatically have such. So the observation is that the communities out there, they are also not too kind. If you look at the atrocities that they're committing, it's worrying because they force the police to go and act in many of these cases. Because the police, they've got no choice, but if they hear that there is robbery in progress, there is residential robbery in progress, there is hijacking in progress, they will respond promptly. When they get there, they are met with fire. And that then generates a lot of death cases. Same with any other classification. So that's where we are having a problem, that the problem, when you analyze the crime, you realize that there is a correlation of what IPD is happening and what is happening on the ground. When you see more cases of death on the ground in KZN, you must know that the community is there as well. They are very dangerous. They are carrying dangerous weapons. And those are some of the challenges which I think I should then explain so that there is a rationale in terms of these statistics.
Before you step off, Gauteng, but perhaps even after you've stepped off, because my question, I think, relates to all the provinces. I want you to discuss as fully as possible how practical it is for each investigator to deal with the averages you are giving us here. Eastern Cape 289 per investigator on average, all the way down to Western Cape 288, and then the national average of 266. How practical is it for each investigator to deal with those numbers? Perhaps that's something you can deal with after tea.
Okay.
Let's adjourn and come back at 11:20.
Thank you, Chair.
Seems we are ready to start. Please switch off your cell phones.
Ms. Sildo?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Kefela-Kai, I think, was in the middle of a response to a question when we broke for tea. I don't know if he recalls where he was. Perhaps to repose the question, if he doesn't remember.
I'm sure you still do remember what I asked, but I think it was broader than just that. Is it not correct that Commissioner Baloyi had also asked something? I'm not sure now. Oh, then it's my question. I'm sure you remember it on the averages, the practicalities, or lack of them. Yes.
Thanks, Commissioners. With regard to the age analysis, it is in...
Okay. Should we do it in that order? Okay.
Yeah, please deal with that first and then my question afterwards.
Okay. Yeah. There is an extra A, page 6 of it. It provides...
my apologies. For the record, can we identify the annexure as annexure TK1? That is in your annexure file. So then can you refer us to the correct page?
That would be page 6.
Yes, and then you can deal with that table.
And this statistical data speaks to cases that are active, that still require some investigations. And in terms of age analysis, 2018 backwards, we are talking 2,101. 2018 April 1 to 2021 March 31, 3,065. 2021 April 1 to 2023 March 31, we are talking 2,735. And 2023 April 1 to 2024 03/31, we are talking 1,748. And then we have got 2024 April 1 to 2025 March 31st, we have got 2,298, totaling 11,947. Now, the question as to how do you then deal with this mammoth task? It is a problem, because if you look back in these matters, you still find cases that are serious, very complex, but with limited resources. We have then decided to, and it's something that I've expressed in my statement here.
Perhaps if we go there, we'd have to, to respond to the question, we have to go ahead in the statement to page 23. And I think, Mr. Kefela-Kai, you want to reference from paragraph 41, is that correct?
Yeah, 23 from paragraph 41, SC, you are correct.
Please proceed.
Commissioners, all our cases older than 90 days are considered backlog per IPID regulations and are tracked in the department's APP, and that's annual performance plan, as well as the annual operational plan. Critical resources constraints including budget, our staffing, our vehicles. We do not have, even if we may seem like we have some vehicles, if you look at the conditions of the vehicles and the type of the vehicles, they are not good for the terrain that we should where we should deal with these matters. So they delay the resolutions of these matters. And the workload includes both the new intake, that as and when we are dealing with this backlog, you still receive those serious cases that are coming in on a daily basis. And key contributing factors include, I've spoken about the resources and the vastness of some provinces. If you look at our other 8 provinces, with the exception of Gauteng, you would then agree with me, commissioners, that all of those provinces are vast. And to move from point A to B, it's a challenge. And we have tried, we said we cannot sit and just cry and do nothing. We then came up with a backlog strategy, and we had to look into the pillars, one of which was to analyze, to do this age analysis, and then we looked into another pillar that talks to the resourcing and the monitoring and evaluation of the backlog strategy. And that would then include the purchasing of the vehicles, the enlistment. We enlisted 10 contract investigators who are experienced and seasoned investigators, particularly from your SAPS, your DPCI. Those were branch commanders. They are very good in the work of investigation, and we are in the process currently. We have just completed the other processes of recruitment. It's ongoing to add 15 more investigators. But the intention is to take these people to 4 big provinces, which is Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Western Cape, and Eastern Cape. Because these 4 provinces, they account to over 70% of our total workload in the country. And when you look at the SAPS annual report, it will tell you that the problem of crime, if South Africa was to solve the problem of crime in these 4 provinces, we will have no crime in this country.
Can I ask a question? Does IPID recruit from within the force, or do you recruit outside? And before you answer me, just looking at your statement, I thought maybe we might have made a mistake. If you are an officer and we are disrespecting you by addressing you as Mr., and you have a particular rank that we should respect, please let us know. I know you are director. If you want to be referred to as director, we can do that. But just help us with that so that we don't continue. If it's a mistake, we don't continue with it.
Okay, let me address the addressing part. I prefer to be referred to as Mr. Gefelagai. It's a very surname. It's a very rare surname. So, yeah, we do recruit from the SAPS and the DPCI. In the main, these colleagues are
only. Do you recruit only from within the force?
In the main, because if you were to recruit from this other entity, you are going to have a serious problem. They don't understand the processes. You will have to have 3 years of training a person to understand what you are trying to do. So with SAPS, the day you bring them in the system, they know what to do. And
okay, I think that disposes of both questions and answers the chair's second question as well. To confirm, chair is satisfied with the response received.
I think you are pushing me to say I am. Yes, I am.
Thank you, chair. Then to find our place, Mr. Kefelaka, we were at page 9 before we broke for tea. Then we needed to dispose of the 2 questions posed by the commissioners. So on my assessment, we are then ready to go to page 10. Is that correct?
It's correct, SC.
And at page 10, now your statement focuses specifically on Gauteng.
Correct, SC.
If you can take it from there, thank you.
The Gauteng province, as you can see as commissioners here, that it is comprised of the 5 districts. You'd have your Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg, Sedibeng, Tshwane, and the West Rand. Now, looking at this statistical data on the graph, you'd notice that Johannesburg is contributing 34% at the total of 4,212, and that is coming from the 12,487 cases that are active, and followed by your Tshwane with 3,521. Then you would have the Ekurhuleni with 3,188. This then translates into 26% of the total workload. And what then becomes prudent here is that if we were to dwell into the Ekurhuleni, just to give the picture, is that the Ekurhuleni itself has got, it's dealing with 43 of the police stations. Because of these 43, 2 are outside Ekurhuleni. They are in the Sedibeng district, which is your Ratanda and your Heidelberg, but they have been added into Ekurhuleni because of the proximity. And in total there we have got 6 investigators that are dealing with the 3,188 cases that are active. And this is beside the cases that we refer to as post-decision monitoring. This is just the active cases. Now, we have thought that perhaps with these new contractors that we are bringing in, we need to take some of them to Ekurhuleni to solely focus on these old cases, and so that they can reduce the number, because we have got an intention of having these contractors, at least for the medium-term expenditure plan, which is a 3-year plan. And the plan is that for these 3 years, we should have at least reduced the backlog significantly. And I think that would also be assisted by the fact that the Amendment Act, it's removing some of these minor cases. We will be dealing with the real cases now. Your discharge of police firearms will obviously sit with the police there. Those are minor cases. You'd have your assault common. We have done the analysis and we realized that these are the matters that are opened by people who have committed robberies. And when they are arrested and they are handcuffed, they open cases of assault because they were bruised on their hands during the arrest. So those are the matters that we strongly believe that they can be handled at the police station level. and then we deal with the systemic corruptions cases and the attempted murder cases and your death, rape, and so on. So that the Amendment Act will alleviate the problem in one way or the other. That by during the MTEF period, we should have cleared the backlog. And now Ekurhuleni is not just this 43 police station. We have got the EMPD. The EMPD and other national divisions that are stationed in the Ekurhuleni Policing Precinct. We have your crime intelligence, you'd have your FCS, the people that are working with the sexual offenses. We used to call them Child Protection Unit. Those are also adding to the number. And you'd have the National Intervention Unit. They are stationed there in Ekurhuleni. So as and when a crime is committed, these are the 6 members who should respond to all of these challenges. And now, with the EMPD, we have also taken note of the challenges of crime, particular crime trend in the area that is very problematic. You know, the crime, if the crime is committed by the people that are at the lower level, you'd understand that the gravity, isn't so much, and you are able to have the command and control to try and fix the problems. But when the problems are up there and there is a whole lot of infighting and all of that, that then creates a problem, and hence the high number of cases there. And also what we have observed in that municipality is that there are other trends that we have identified through some intelligence, that the truck hijacking that have been staged is a problem. We have the issue of drugs, the proliferation of drugs there. Drug peddling, it's something that it's a challenge in such a way that it's a business. The police are involved. The EMPD is involved in those kind of things. They operate in such a way that they are in silos. This silo is responsible for making sure that where drugs are concerned, it's our terrain. And those that are dealing with drugs, with trucks, that carries consignment of goods, is their terrain, it's don't touch. And some that are dealing with this taxi-related issues. You don't have a permit, it's our terrain, you can't come here. And it's those kind of information, and hence the interest in that municipality. A whole lot of things, we get the intelligence that these things are happening here, hence the interest there. But I also want to point out that not that other metros are angels. We are coming to the other metros because we also got some information.
I wanted to ask you, because you talk about intelligence, and in this commission we heard about an unauthorized truck unit, which was, irregularly established, and people who are not even policemen have been issued with letters to say they are members of that unit, issued by Ekurhuleni or somebody at Ekurhuleni Metro Police, and they are hijacking trucks on the highways. Now, you have this intelligence as IPID. Are you proactive in the sense that you act before there's even a complaint to IPID, or do you say, until there's a complaint to IPID, we don't have jurisdiction to act? Can you choose?
Commissioners, the best way we looked at this was that because we do not have the proactive mechanisms on our part, we are going to deter this problem, this crime element through being reactive, removing those that are responsible. And I know that we are touching the nerves there. And that's exactly what we are doing. And we have noticed that we have made exploits in Ekurhuleni, and it was quite intentional. Now, it's difficult. It was difficult to go and say, let's go and conduct an operation. We don't have that capacity. So our strategy was different.
Can I stop you? Because I know that some of these cases are ongoing, so you don't want to alert those you are investigating that you are doing this, so I just wanted to get a picture. Are you proactive or do you wait until there's a complaint? Maybe stop there, because I'm worried that what you are telling us might now alert those that you are investigating that you are coming for them. So,
yeah, we are reactive, but with a clear intention of deterring. That element of deterrence proactively tells the people that, we can't do it anymore.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner Baloyi.
Can I just follow up on this discussion?
Indeed, ma'am.
You've identified, what you've described now, which sounds very organized within the EMPD, and I'm avoiding saying syndicates because I've come to learn that these things have a specific meaning, but it sounds like organized criminals within the EMPD. I can't say it better than that. Having that kind of insight and understanding that you are reactive in the way you do your work, is there a mechanism or a place where these are discussed, these kind of things that you find out, they are discussed at a level other than IPID? Because I would imagine that the different law enforcement components, and I don't know which one would be the relevant one, whether it's a SAPS or somebody else, must have an interest and in their mandate to look at that kind of organized crime within the police force. So, yes, you only respond once it has happened and you found ways to deal with that, but is that all that's happening about it?
Commissioners, the complexity of these matters, you just have mentioned that it's highly organized. And when you look at it, you may think that we are looking at just one law enforcement agency. There are other players around, and I'm deliberately trying to not touch on those because, but it's organized in a way that there are players there. And those players, sometimes when you may want to bring the very same players in, you may find yourself having invited a witch in your bedroom, or rather a wizard, whatever way. So you need to be careful, because if your intelligence says to you, it's A, B, C, and D, but now we seem to be talking about just EMPD, is because EMPD it has been taking the lead. You will see in the reports of some of the colleagues, maybe if they are going to testify, that some of the names would come repeatedly and all of that, and even how they are doing things. and the type of weapons that they are carrying and using and all of that, and other sort of things, the legal mining stuff and sort of, it's just a web that you need to understand what you are dealing with.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Listening to you then, Mr. Gefelakai, it would appear that you've dealt with your page 11, and if I can refer you to paragraph 24, you say that Ekurhuleni encompasses a total of 43 police stations, correct?
Yes.
With 6 investigators under the supervision of Mr. Magagula. That you state at your paragraph 24.
Yes, I see.
Now, we have retained on the screen table 2, where you reflect of the 12,487 cases within Gauteng, Ekurhuleni accounts for 3,188. Is that correct?
Correct.
I would like you to keep that number in mind, because when we go then to your page 12, which is where we are at, we are going to put up another table. There appears to be a different figure that we might benefit from an explanation if you are able to provide one.
Okay.
So you may then go to your page 12. On my estimation, we are at your paragraph 27, where we start dealing with table 2.
Okay, table 2.
Apologies, we have dealt with table 2. Now we go to the next table, which will be table 3 at your page 13.
Okay, correct.
Okay. And in particular here, my interest is that at table 3, you reflect the Ekurhuleni total workload spread amongst the 6 investigators as 2834. That's a different figure from the 3188 in your table 2. How do we reconcile the two?
If you look at the table 2,
yes, at page 10.
It strictly talks to the cases that are active.
Okay.
It's not a combination of the PDMs and the active
I'm with
cases. Now, if you look at the active cases, you might think that this is the total number of matters that we are dealing with.
Yeah.
But the work starts when you more of the work starts when you have completed the active case that then goes to or populate the post-decision monitoring. And when you populate that category, that's where now you have to take cases to court, you have to go and testify at court. So that's the picture that we are painting. We brought the two together.
Understood. Thank you very much. That
Now-
then would take you to your table, followed by paragraph 30 and following. Thank you. Now you can keep it there.
Although investigators are generally responsible for cases arising from their allocated police stations, there are instances where investigators assume responsibility for cases outside their designated areas. This occurs where suspects are believed to be involved in similar offenses across multiple districts, necessitating the centralization of such cases under a specific investigator or team to ensure effective coordination of investigations.
You may then proceed to finalize it, paragraphs 31 and 32, before we turn to the next heading.
Now, as of 31st December 25, Table 3 reveals critical workload pressure nationally in Gauteng and Ekurhuleni, underscores the need for immediate prioritization of resources and operational oversight. The data provides insight into the relative distribution and intensity of investigative responsibilities across these areas.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we turn to the next chapter?
Yeah, basically, I think here Commissioners, it was just to demonstrate that, maybe just to give a practical example, you have a serial rapist. If you have got a serial rapist and it's investigated, he commits these crimes in various areas or districts, and investigators within this in Ekurhuleni gets to identify or to get a sense that this person could be a serial rapist. Once that element comes out, then we then take those other cases to centralize them, because now you are able to look at the modus operandi, and then you also then get to, it's easy even to coordinate the investigation in terms of the physical evidence, your DNA, and so on and so on. It becomes easy. Same with the serial murders and all of that, or just an organized organized kind of arrangement wherein people are killing. There is this trend wherein they would kill a person and throw the person in the dam, and they go to the province, they kill a person and throw him in the dam. You observe that trend, and you get a sense that in this group there is this woman who's light in complexion. So it tells you that it's one person, it's one group. So that's why sometimes you'd find that we get to centralize those matters and sometimes give it to a team to run with, just as a clarity. I think, Commissioners, I've dealt adequately with this part.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe before you go to the next chapter, in that table 3, those statistics, where you have Ekurhuleni, just so that there is no misunderstanding, is it SAPS and EMPD, or is it just EMPD, that statistics?
No, it's combined. It's both SAPS and EMPD.
And EMPD.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, secondly, you've set out the constraints that you have and the burden on the workload burden on investigators. What is the ideal distribution of work that you would say would render it's a fair distribution of work? And so I'm talking case ratio to investigator. And whatever you say it is, what is that based on?
Commissioners, in sort of, I can't say it's a research, but there was an exercise that was conducted within SAPS back in the days, and then that exercise then demonstrated that at least one investigator should be carrying 60 dockets.
And right now they are carrying what?
I'm talking about SAPS.
Oh, it's SAPS, okay.
Yeah. Now, SAPS, there is an advantage. If you look at SAPS, we are in Pretoria Central now. This is the policing precinct of Pretoria Central. And if you look at the policing precinct, it's very small. So it's easy for a detective to move from this point to this point and that point. In less than an hour, he would have visited maybe 4 witnesses just within this precinct. Same with the townships and so on. But with IPID, if you have a province such as Gauteng with a population size of 16 million, that influences the number of police that needs to be allocated to the province, with other dynamics, of course, included. So those crimes, the population size then increases the crime rate, and then the police would act, and the number then goes so big. And it's impossible that for an IPID investigator, like one of our investigators is having 729 cases. You have the one that is like better with over 400 cases. It's tough. Our investigators do not sleep. They do not take leave. They do not socialize. They socialize with the dockets. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I socialize with cases. I socialize with strategies to see how best we can try and manage this mammoth task that is before us. So I don't have social life. I live IPID.
Yeah, I think what I'm asking is, you've told us about the SAPS research.
Yes.
Which indicated back then one investigator per 60 dockets, I think you said. So my question is really, has such a study been done for IPID? Keep in mind that we are required to make recommendations on improvements if those are appropriate to make. And you, in your statement and in your testimony, you've spoken to the hardships and the causes of the hardships, but you don't say that, specifically on this topic, of the caseload per investigator, you don't say to us, ideally, each investigator should deal only with 40 cases, and the basis for saying that is A, B, C, D, it is research or whatever. If that study hasn't been done, or that exercise hasn't been done by IPID, it's okay to say that. You know, it may well be that we have to recommend that study has to be done ultimately. But I would like to know that from you. What is the position?
Mr. Kiafalakai, before you respond, perhaps it might assist to go to your page 13. That table where you set out the average caseload per investigator, and let's use specifically Ekurhuleni. You say it's got 2,834 active cases, it being investigated by 6 investigators, with the result that each investigator has got an average caseload of 472. If I understand Commissioner Baloyi's question correctly, what would be the ideal average case workload per investigator? If you have that answer, and if research has been done in that regard.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I think on several occasions we have been asked by the Parliament to present our ideal structure, and we developed an expansion strategy. And on the expansion strategy, we looked at the intake, the trend of cases and all of that, taking into account other factors, of course, and the dynamics of various provinces. We do have that document that talks to the ideal structure that would then talk to the number of cases that we would deal with and that we will be able to manage at the end of the day. So that document is there, but it couldn't fly because of budget constraints. Such strategy could not be implemented. It's available, and I would have preferred to talk to it perhaps maybe when we come for the second round, so that I can demonstrate the numbers. And perhaps maybe we might, because it was done back then, about 2 years or during that time of COVID, it is possible that because we see the rising number of case intake, we might want to revise it to talk to the current developments.
All right, I'm satisfied with that you can deal with it when you come back and provide that information. The other issue is you, and this is to take you back to your page 2, at paragraph 4.7, where you talk about what IPID gets to investigate. Now, for purposes of our task, we're looking at infiltration of the criminal justice system, and it seems to me that our terms of reference would deal with 4.7, which involves corruption. Now, whether in your statistics or by way of explanation, what part of these statistics constitutes conduct that you generally refer to as corruption? Earlier, remember, we spoke about theft of precious stones. You're talking about truck hijackings that are happening, dealing in drugs, trading in drugs and similar activities. It seems to me that if I confine myself to Section 28, they would fall under the rubric
Yes.
of corruption.
Correct, Commissioner.
Now, in these statistics, are you able now, or do you have information that you could share which would break it down for us to say what you're dealing with, so much % of it is matter that falls under 4.7, that is corruption, so that we have a sense of how pervasive this problem of corruption is?
Yeah, okay.
So you can deal with that when you come back. And then lastly, lastly, when you were speaking earlier, you mentioned as part of the problems that you encounter with your investigations is interference, political interference. I think that's how you said it. But you said it, that's all you said about it. Whether now or next time when you come to testify, when you return, if you would just speak more to that, give content to it, exactly what kind of interference do you speak of, at what levels, and how pervasive is that problem, and maybe the real consequence of your investigations. Has it seen some investigations been abandoned, some frustrated, and therefore causing delays in finalizing? If you would just provide further detail on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. When we then prepare for your return in the IPID stream, we will address the questions put forward by Commissioner Baloy, because there are matters not only confined to Ekurhuleni, but impact the functioning of the entire organization, IPID. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Kefalakai, then that, on my estimation, would take us to your page 14 at starting from paragraph 33. You have it under the heading Investigations into Brigadier James Kwanazi. Do you see that?
Yes, I see.
Before you deal with what you raised them, to address the commissioners, I would request you to pull out Rivo Spice's statement because this part of the statement by Mr. Kefelakai addresses that. We can put away the annex, Mr. Kefelakai's annexure. We will not be referring to it further now. At Commissioner Rivos Pierce's statement, I would like to refer us to page 11. The commissioners recall that Mr. Spies provided a useful table of cases arising from the EMP, from Ikuruleni, which to some in one way or the other implicate or have Mr. Mkwanazi as a participant in them. Starting with Mr. Kefelakai and the succeeding witnesses, will now turn specifically to these issues as tabulated by Commissioner Spies, starting at page 11 to page 18, 19. So you don't have Commissioner Spies' statement with you right now, Mr. Kefelakai, but it has been provided to you. And what you deal with under that heading is in response specifically to the concerns as raised by him. Do you confirm that?
Okay.
Okay. So, Commissioners, Mr. Kefelakai has responded to the cases in his own manner. It doesn't necessarily follow the order as Mr. Spies has set it out in his statement. But if you could just have a pencil ready, I will tell you which is what matter on that list. With that background, then, Mr. Kefelakai, please deal then with the investigations. The first, I'll say, you say is the Boxback case number 26203-2023. Commissioners, that's item 2 on the second table at page 17, the blue lights. So if you could just scribble in the statement that is Commissioner Spies' item 2 of table 2. Item 1 of table 2. Thank you. Mr. Kefelakai, then you may lead us through that.
Thanks, Commissioners. With regard to the Boxback case, 262 of 2023, this related to alleged irregular vehicle transaction and is normally referred to as the blue light matter. The incident that occurred in 2023. So the summary there, it was that there were allegations that Brigadier Mkwanazi of EMPD made a transaction or entered into a transaction with a certain fellow called Mr. Vusimozi Ket Matala, who donated some vehicles to the EMPD. And on 3 point, I'll just give the summary so that we get the context on this matter. That on 33.3, additional unrelated matters involving EMPD members were also reported and remained under investigation. Now, going to, or maybe before I can even go into that, the reporting of this matters of the EMPD, we got to have the information about the things or the crime problems within the EMPD, which we had already started looking into. And subsequent to that, the Chief of Police, Mr. Mapieye and Mr. Rivos Spies, engaged with the former executive director at the time, Ms. Ntlatse, that they are actually having some problems with regard to their environment and their concern that they raised in particular related to the these vehicles that were allegedly donated. And of course, during the discussion, because IPID had already started dealing with some of the matters, then she found it prudent at the time to establish a tax team, which would then comprise of other team employees or officials from other provinces to come and augment the personnel strength within Ekurhuleni, because it was just a few of them. As you see, we have got the personnel strength of just 6 investigators. And that did okay. The team was established, and fortunate enough, the one that relates to Boksburg case was then investigated. What then became out of this case was that the case was concluded in 2023, despite the fact that it was brought to our attention in 2023. So we prioritize it basically, despite the fact that we've got backlog. So we called people from outside, and then they expedited the investigation, and hence the recommendations to the municipality, to Ekurhuleni, were generated during the month of September, towards the end of September, because they received the document on the 3rd October 2023, and I personally signed the recommendations recommending that Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi must be charged. Steps must be taken against him because there was overwhelming evidence. And the matter again was referred to the DPP on the same day. However, on the DPP side, there were other aspects that the DPP thought needs to be explored, but that had nothing to do with the frustrating the departmental part of the case, and hence then there was further instructions to deal with that aspect, and of which it was indeed done and completed at a later stage though. But however, the challenge with the implementation of the recommendation of this really had put us in a very awkward position, and this is something that I've expressed on the paragraph below. But EMPD did not have the appetite to implement those recommendations against Brigadier Mkhwanazi. And I was also disappointed to see a letter that was a fake letter that was made by politicians to exonerate Mkhwanazi without him having been subjected to any disciplinary process. And that letter never even reached IPID. And I only got to know about this letter quite recent, that there was a letter that was written to me to say that he was actually vindicated, despite the several efforts to check if there was an initiation. We wanted progress on initiation, but when they revert back to us...
Are you able to identify the letter in a manner that will make us understand what letter you are referring to?
The letter, I didn't I didn't receive the letter at the time. The letter sufficed. I only got to know, to see the letter. I think when I was busy preparing this statement, and it was sent via a WhatsApp to check if I know about this letter.
It was just to a clarity-seeking question to say, do you know about this letter? But I heard the investigator also saying, hey, I'm shocked. I'm told that there is this letter that apparently was used just to make sure, or to rather...
If I did not mishear, I think you said it was written by politicians. Did you say so?
Yes. The reason why I'm saying politicians is because this letter was apparently presented to the chamber, to the council chamber meeting, to say this person has been cleared. And therefore, shortly afterwards, then there was a recruitment process that was unfolding. And he got elevated.
Promoted.
Yeah. And that's where things started to surface a little bit. And you know, when you are looking for such document, you don't know who's in possession of that. Nobody's coming out.
A letter that was quite prominent before us was not written by politicians. It was written by the legal section of Eguruleni municipality. Written by Mr. Kemi Behari.
Yes.
Although at some stage he got it signed by two legal officers, a Mr. Zulu and a Mr. Mahwiting, I think. That's the letter that got some prominence before us. So that's why I wanted to know if I had misheard you when you referred to politicians, because this one was written by legal, not politicians. Maybe I'm not aware, or I've forgotten about one by politicians.
That is the letter.
Yes.
Commissioners, I think you might have...
And maybe perhaps for your benefit, that letter in so many words was saying there's nothing wrong that Brigadier Mkhwanazi had done wrong. And it was analyzing IP's views with regard to the alleged offenses. It would say there's no fraud here. The elements of fraud are A, B, C, D. They have not been satisfied. There's no corruption here. The elements for corruption are A, B, C, D. Those elements have not been satisfied. Was this a letter of that nature?
Yeah, it was the letter of that nature. Okay. Commissioners, I think I said that at some point a letter was written to the municipality because there was no initiation that took place. And then subsequent to that, myself and other colleagues, we took an initiative to drive to Eguruleni to meet with the mayor at the time and the MMC. And we raised concerns about the fact that there was no action that is being taken. And at that time, commissioners, when we brought the team from outside, there were other cases that were dealt with by the very same team against Eguruleni. And people were arrested, they were disciplined, one resigned, one was dismissed. Now, very convenient that almost at the very same time you have these recommendations that you send about this other one, that even when you escalate the matter to the political office, they say to you there is nothing that they can do. And it's really disappointing that when they are unable to deal with the matter,
after a very, very long time, you agree to the letter that is presented to you to say, this is the person, this is the letter that then vindicates this person. And that letter never came to us as IPID.
Perhaps not necessarily that they are not able to deal with the matter. It's more that they did not deal with the matter. Because saying they were not able to, it's suggesting that they were, or they may well have been, desirous of dealing with it, but it was an impossibility for them to do so. So I think you are putting it in a manner that's favorable to them.
All right, Commissioner, maybe let me concede. Let me concede by saying perhaps maybe it was quite convenient that it happens at the time when there is a post that is available, and then it goes to this person of interest. It's one area that then you tend to ask. I'm only a human being, perhaps, that I then tend to suspect that no. But why is it expedited in this manner? And why is this letter not even coming to us without having initiated, without any communication to IPID? Or is it just a pure undermining IPID? You do your processes and everything else, and we are sitting with a gap here of recommendations that are still outstanding till today. Now, after the commission, or the establishment of the commission, you start seeing action being taken. Then if that letter was legit, I don't think that brigadier would have been suspended because of the very same matter. So there is a snake on the ground here, commissioners.
Thank you, Chair. Does that conclude your first case, your response to the blue lights matter?
Yes, let's see.
Okay, maybe before you move then from it, you, in paragraph 33.8, you say the referral was made to Director of Public Prosecution for decision on prosecution. You've explained that the DPP then came back with further questions or further issues that needed to be addressed. As we stand now, as matters stand now rather, has there been a decision by the DPP?
The decision has not yet been made, but the decision will be made and is quite imminent. Because everything that needed to be collected has been collected. Okay. Any time is tea time.
Yeah, without meaning to be unfair to you or to put you in a spot. The referral is in September 2023. We are in 2026, January. Is there a reasonable, according to you, a reasonable explanation for this delay?
Yeah, there is, Commissioner, that the delay, I think it was necessary, Commissioner, to deal with this matter in the manner in which the DPP guided the process. Because had we not done so, we would have omitted very important information that is strengthening the criminal aspect. And that information has since been sourced. It's a pity that...
But what accounts for the delay? Is it inefficiencies? I'm not questioning that the DPP comes back to you and guides you. We require this to be done, we require that information. I accept that's part of the system, that's how the system works. What I'm I'm concerned to understand is a period of 2 years, now 2 years plus, passes since the referral itself. What accounts for that delay in the back and forth? Is it because the DPP writes to IPID and IPID takes 8 months to revert back, or you referred in September 23 and IPID and DPP only came back to you a year later? I'm trying to understand where are the inefficiencies that causes this kind of delay.
There were some dependencies, and those dependencies, as and when you then deal with this Section 205, requesting certain information, then that Section 205 will give you some pictures that would then necessitate further investigation. And the more you think you have done all of that, you go, you see it with the prosecutor, and then there is this other angle wherein then there has to be other things to be explored. And it was quite a good case in a sense that much as there was it may appear that there was a delay, but I'm very much comforted by the quality that eventually came out of that investigation. And it's a pity that I'm in this platform. You know, if I was in court...
Don't disclose too much that compromises anything in your work. I wouldn't want to be responsible for that. Disclose only that which is safe to disclose.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, a decision will be made very, very soon. Maybe let me put it at the end. Yeah.
Let me, you use the word quality in terms of what IPID has done. I'm not going to be unduly critical, but I remember going through the documentation before us. That focus is placed on the amount of what, 2,000 rand plus, which is said to be all that Eku Ruleni has been prejudiced about. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember that? In the context of fraud. In the context of fraud.
No, I remember that.
You are aware of that?
Yes.
Do you share that view?
Yes, because there is evidence to that effect.
I take a slightly different view, and I think the prejudice is being reduced unduly. Because the 2,000, as I understand it, relates to the amount in relation to the actual registration of the motor vehicles.
True that.
Let me tell you the difficulty that I have. My difficulty is what Brigadier Mkwanazi is alleged to have done is to approach Mr. Chris Steyn and to say to him, please register these motor vehicles. And he gives him a pack of documents, including the so-called donation letter from CAT VIP protection. And in that pack of documents, there's also the donations MOU, which he would only have given to Mr. Chris Steyn if he was suggesting to Mr. Chris Steyn that there is a valid MOU. So there's a representation, or rather a misrepresentation, which would be one of the elements of fraud. So if there is fraud, and I believe there is, That's much wider than just the question of registering the motor vehicles for only 2,000 and something rand. And in fact, the prejudice on what I'm positing to you is even difficult to compute in concrete monetary terms. But it's there.
Yes.
It's obviously there. So I think IP, they unduly restricted the fraud count. But I do not think it's too late to revisit this and to again approach the DPP. Do you follow my reasoning?
I follow your reasoning, Commissioner. That's why I'm saying, with the criminal case, when it was presented, of course, the DPP looked into it and said that there is more to this.
Yes.
And that's what actually it then resulted to other activities that had to be undertaken. And I don't know how to put it.
I hope there is specificity in this regard as well, because if there isn't, I would suggest that maybe IPIT needs to look into this. Any comment?
Noted, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Chair, if I may add on to that, perhaps after Mr. Kifelakai's testimony, what we could request him to do is to go back to the docket of the matter to see whether or not the issues have been expanded following the DPP's guidance and directives. And we shall revert.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Kifelakai, I think that then takes us to your paragraph 34, and you are dealing with the second case. Commissioners, for the record, that is item 7 on Mr. Speaker's table. There says the Brakpan murder where the body was dumped.
And that's page what of 35?
No, let me, Chair, I missed the question.
No, I said that's page what of 35? Mr. Species.
15, my apologies. 15 of 35.
Thank you.
I was thrown by 35. It's at yes, item 7. And just to recap, I am now at page 16, the second paragraph of that table at page 16. Commissioner Spies had indicated that on 27 March 2025, Marius van der Merwe WhatsApped him, and then they had this conversation, and that Marius van der Merwe had made a Section 204 warning statement. Then I want to jump to page 17, still with that case, which concludes, where Commissioner Spies concludes, IPID and no one is treating this case fairly, according to him, the him being Mr. Marius van der Merwe, and for the record, that is our witness D. So that is the context of the response that Mr. Kifelakai is about to provide, starting at paragraph 34 at page 15. You understood, Mr. Kifelakai? I was trying to provide appropriate context for the commissioners. So if you could take it up from then paragraph 34.
Yeah, the IPID received this case of Brakpan 429 and 4 of 2022. This is the murder in the dam. Let me also point out that this matter will also be, the more details, further details will be provided by the investigator during the course of the week to this commission. If you check on the subject, the commissioners, Brigadier Julius Mukanazi is still featuring, and other EMPD members, and of course the SAPS members. This is the death of Mr. Mbenze. This is the incident that occurred between the 14th and the 15th April 2022. the deceased was taken from his place of rest, and on the 15th, the body was found at the Sparvathar Dam near the Duduza Township. In summary, on 34.1, the police visited Emmanuel Mbenze to make inquiries regarding a truck alleged linked to stolen goods. There were allegations that Mr. Mbenze did not provide requested information. As a result, he was assaulted by those officers that were attending. And they took him with, and the next day, which was on the 15th, the body is discovered at the dam. Commissioners, the person who discovered the body was just a fisherman who then alerted the police. But as I said, that final details will be provided, and it will be much more interesting to the commission. The post-mortem was conducted because the police reported inquest matter initially, but then IPID then took over the investigation based on the little information that they got from the family, because the family were raising concerns that, but there were police who came to our place and so on. But then the investigation knows commissioners on 34.5. Brigadier Mkhwanazi, along with other EMPD and SAS members, were included in an investigation that was completed, and the resulting recommendation for disciplinary actions were submitted to EMPD and SAPS on the 4th February 2026. The same day, the same docket, the case docket was also referred to the DPP for prosecution, for decision to prosecute. Now, on this matter of Brakpan, where the person has been killed, the decision will be made most probably before the end of this month. Is in with the DPP. Commissioners, this matters, both matters were prosecutorial guided. That's why it then becomes easier for the prosecutors to make decisions. It might appear that the matters have taken time, but when you are guided step by step by the prosecutor, you would want to follow what they are saying. And particularly in this matter, there was a missing link somewhere, which then necessitated that we find ways to make sure that there is compliance with this aspect, because it gave this case some strength. But the investigator will articulate that when she takes over the stand.
You criticized Ekurhuleni and EMPD for only acting when things come out in this commission. Looking at 34.5, the 4th of February 2026, now that looks like IPID did the same. After witness D testified in this commission, then suddenly IPID refers to Ekurhuleni for disciplinary proceedings against these individuals.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner, I want to suggest that things might appear as the Commissioner sees them. However, I would perhaps maybe suggest that we leave that part for the investigator. It's going to come out juicy, because now...
I hope you're not avoiding it, and the investigator says, I'm only investigating a criminal case. I have nothing to do with referrals to the employer. I hope you're not avoiding it.
I'm not avoiding that, Commissioner, because The juicy part is that...
Don't tell me the juicy part. Just tell me you're not avoiding it because of that.
No, it's not, Commissioner. Yeah.
Be there.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Kumalo.
Can I ask a
Yes,
question that I
Kumalo.
think you are able to answer? Part of the complaint in previous evidence was that Mr. van der Merwe, the now deceased Mr. van der Merwe, was of the view that IPID was not interested in prosecuting this case. That's what Commissioner Spies said to us, and Mr. van der Merwe may well also have testified that way. What I would like to hear is, and it's a process question, when IPID is investigating a case such as this, or any case for that matter, what engagement with the family, for example, is there as you go along with these processes? What engagement is there with the complainant, even though in this case the complainant was also an accomplice in that he was at the scene and he admitted having participated, but he's the one that seemed to have brought it to the attention of the police, IPID. What, in terms of your processes, happens?
In terms of our processes is that when you are dealing with the case such as your death matter, you'd have the family liaison first. That's key. That's the important activity that you have to prioritize. But in regard to this matter,
and the family liaison means what? I know you go to the family at the outset, say there's a death, you tell them there's a death. Beyond that, what does that liaison entail?
yeah, normally the family would identify maybe one or two people to say, in the event that there is, you want to communicate, you don't communicate with every person. So we would want to have specific people because we are dealing with sensitive information here. So we would want the family to say, we would rather identify so and so because at least he has got metric, he will understand what you mean when then you'll feed that person with the information and then he will feed the family. So in this instance, there were two identified people who the liaison person and the investigator would then liaise with them in terms of the progress and also in terms of other information. Remember that this incident started at the family. So it was crucial that
At the family house.
At the family house.
Yes.
So it was crucial that there had to be that engagement. And it was the very same family that assisted in the whole process. It was the very same family that said, we are happy that you are doing good. And they didn't just say it in like verbally or orally so. They even reduced it in writing to say we are happy. And we understand that there are some interested parties that would say the family is not happy. But then you ask yourself, because the liaison person, it's here, he knows what is happening. Then who is this uncle who's not satisfied? Are they not giving him feedback?
Yeah.
So we do experience such
You
things.
do have a process of continuing liaison with families, with complainants. That's really what you're saying. It's a process issue that I'm asking.
And with regard to this matter,
Yes.
that's what happened. But I'm saying the family also had to express the satisfaction in writing, and it's recent. Nobody forced them. They were happy.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. Before then we turn to your paragraph 35, I need to address the commissioners and say, there is a table at page 17, table 4, and it's headed allegations made on the existence of criminal cases. Mr. Kefalaka is going to talk to those. But for purposes of our commissioner's piece table, I would like the commissioners to note the cases that he will not be speaking to, but that the next witnesses would address. That would be case 1 at page 11, the Patfontaine case. There is a witness to talk to that.
Page 11 of
Page 11 of
Spies.
Commissioner Spies' statement. First item, Patfontaine, the witness will speak to that matter. At page 12, item 2, precious stones, there will be a witness talking to that. Item 3, Benoni Smoke and King's Supermarket, once again a witness. Then I will skip to item 2 of table 2 at page 18. And that's reflected as a box-bag extortion, kidnapping, theft case. Once again, there'll be a witness to speak to that. And as Mr. Kefalaka indicated, the Brakpan murder case. So when one has regard to that table, the only then outstanding issues for Mr. Kefalaka to speak to are what is set out at table 4. There are 3 cases there. And these are items 4, 5, and 6 of Commissioner Spies' statement. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. Mr. Kefalaka, I needed to put that context to the Commissioners before you then turn to your paragraph 35 and the table following. So you may now. Thank you.
Yeah. Table 35, 35.1, this table below outlines allegations submitted to the Commission about specific cases involving police members. And IPID was not aware of these allegations. However, the Directorate would have registered a criminal case if such was not done. But upon engaging with the Commission's evidence leaders on the 5th February, since the Directorate we undertook to follow up on all the 3 matters, and that where appropriate, we shall consider to open cases, and the matters will be prioritized. And then with regard to the Merton case, which is on the table now, going straight to the first case on the table there.
Apologies, Mr. Kefalaka, perhaps for context, it's necessary to indicate what the Merton case is about.
Okay.
That is, according to Commissioner Spies, that involved the theft of copper from a citizen's plot in Merton. And that is a case in which, during his testimony, Commissioner Spies provided video clips of police allegedly arriving at this plot. So then you deal with that at your item 1 of table 4. So you can indicate what IPID's position is as regards that alleged case that is said to be being ignored by IPID. Thank you.
Thanks, and Commissioners. The case in question, which is Merton case 72 of 8/2022, a follow-up was made with regard to the matter. And it was established that this matter was not related to the copper theft allegations that was made by Commissioner Spies. The matters are unrelated, and what we have also established was that Commissioner Spies just forwarded a clip to one of the investigators. He's a witness who will be testifying in this commission. And without even giving the reason why or giving the background as to what the clip was all about. And I think what also made things worse was that part of the clip was not opening. And that resulted to a criminal case not being opened. We are not aware of such a case. However, we thought we will then have to go deeper to try and establish the issues around that clip. Because where I'm seated, commissioners, police have got the obligations, particularly Commissioner Spies at his level, that if he was aware of such, the best he could have done was to open a case, not to send a clip. And that is not how we communicate with the police with regard to cases. We do have the standard operating procedures, but beside that, Commissioner Spies should have gone to the nearest police station if he had evidence and report that. At his level, he had that responsibility. He didn't do that.
But from what you are saying, you are aware that the video clip was received.
Yes, it was sent to. He sent the video clip to a private phone of one of the witnesses, which was also not able to open all the.
Are you suggesting it was never sent to IPID? Are you saying that clip was never sent to IPID?
Chair, if I may,
yes,
Mr.
please,
Gefelaga, I think
please, yes.
Consider what you've just said. Who was the clip sent to?
Mr. Magagula
And who is that?
is the Assistant Director, IPID.
And then
IPID.
you called him a witness, that's why. You said it was sent to one of the witnesses.
That's what confused me.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was saying he is the witness in this.
Oh, the witness to come before the commission, that's what you meant?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. So he sent the clip, part of the clip was not opening, but I'm saying, I understand that he might have had a legitimate case to pursue, or that could have been pursued by IPID. But I think, and I believe that what he should have done.
Okay, before being defensive, you say the clip did not open.
Part of the clip did not open. We don't know what it is. There is another part that was opening.
But Officer Magagula saw that it was from Commissioner Spies, and he knows who Commissioner Spies is and where he works. Or I should have said that in the past tense, but anyway, you hear me.
Yes, he knows who Commissioner Spies is.
So he received this and did nothing at all, just because the normal process in laying charges was not followed. He receives this, he sees it's a clip that has police officers, because you say part of it didn't open, so that must mean part of it did open.
Yeah, I think from where I'm seated, Commissioner Spies should have opened a case there and simply refer it to.
So Officer Magagula just ignored this, and he thought Commissioner Spies was sharing a video clip, just like friends will share video clips for fun amongst themselves.
Yeah, it's an abnormal process that a commissioner of police would just send a clip. It's very abnormal that such would happen. The expectation is that
and the practice is that they would open a case and then the police will then complete the necessary forms and they send the forms. So there is a process.
Yes,
that
and
needed to be followed.
and I'm aware, and I hope I don't sound unduly critical. I'm aware that it is not you that received this clip, but is it so that it showed police officers, or at least EMPD police officers, arriving at these premises, and they included a senior one, Brigadier Mkwanazi, who I assume must have been known to Officer Magagula?
The matter as it stands, commissioners, I would say Mr. Magagula would then talk to that part because from where I'm seated, I'm of the view that
I understand, and that's fair enough. What you say is fair enough. I guess I'm engaging you because you were just too quick to be defensive, defensive of Officer Magagula and whoever else.
Okay.
So naturally, my instinctive reaction was to engage you on you being so defensive. But I will leave it. I will leave it there.
Okay. No, Commissioner. What I'm trying to say, Commissioner, is that we acknowledge that this Mayor 1072 is the incorrect case. It doesn't even fall within the precinct where Magagula is working. But then we also get to understand that this matter needs to be followed up because even if it was opened, Mr. Magagula wouldn't have known because it's in the Valrand and he's operating in the Ekurhuleni. But the fact that we seem to be getting some information around this matter, that it happened in the Val area and all of that, we might be able now to navigate towards trying to understand as to what exactly happened. Why was the case not opened? So that's what we will explore, commissioners.
Mr. Kifelagai, the answer you've given troubles me, and I don't think it is satisfactory because in Commissioner Spece's evidence and in his statement, he says all these matters were discussed at a meeting held in Rodiport, Florida, on the 6th of March, 2023. I mean, we are in February 2026. This is 3 years later. And the best we can get is that a clip from 3 years ago could not open, and therefore there are no further details other than IPID will open a case and conduct an investigation. I mean, that is not satisfactory. And I am led to believe that the person who provided the clip is deceased now. So you see what happens when 3 years is taken to open cases. Even witnesses disappear or something happens to them, and it's a problem. So I don't think it's good enough to say, oh, he sent it. I mean, Magagula was present at that meeting because we are told that attendees included the former executive director, as you say, Ms. Ntlatseng. Thulani Magagula was there. I won't mention the other name. I believe it's the next witness who's coming after you. Colonel Erasmus was there, Mapieye was there, and Spies was there. So if all these cases were discussed in March 2023, it's not good enough to say we'll open an inquiry in 2026 and start investigating. I'm hoping, maybe it's not you because you were obviously not in the meeting, that we will get better answers from those who were at the meeting and know what was discussed.
Commissioner, I was part of the meeting in Rodiport.
Yes.
This matter was not discussed. And even the case number that is provided here is incorrect. It doesn't talk to the clip. So if we have gotten to identify the fact that
this case was handled, well investigated, and it relates to something else, but these details also Magagula will express them. But it was just from my point of view that this matter was not discussed during that meeting. Because had it been discussed, it would have been prioritized.
Thank you.
Mr. Kefalakai, before you move on, perhaps just to clarify a few issues. Earlier, you spoke of how the province is split up into different jurisdictions, and you indicated that there is the area of Ikuruleni where you say 6 investigators are responsible for Ikuruleni. That's correct?
True.
Now,
Yes, yeah.
Meyatin, where does Meyatin fall in that division of splitting up the province?
Meyatin it falls under Sidibeng and West Rand,
Okay.
meaning the team in the West Rand also deals with your Sidibeng, your Ferenachem, Meyatin, Didier, Sebukeng,
Yes.
and yeah.
So when this matter comes to your attention, did you engage any of the investigators responsible for the area, including Meyatin, to establish the truth or facts around this case? Have you had opportunity to do so?
No, not yet. What we did, we checked with the Meyatin police station regarding the case that is the case in question. And
Okay.
we would have known because at some point when we were doing our own exercise in the office regarding those matters that involve certain figures, we then communicated with the supervisors in that area. I would have known that this figure is also involved, but that I would have gotten the information in that regard.
So in short, you are saying that you do not have a report from the investigators from the VAL in whose jurisdiction Meyatin falls as regards this matter. Is that what you're saying?
That's true.
And you haven't inquired from any one of them?
What I normally do is that they forward or they share that information on regular basis.
I apologize. On this one specifically, it's, as Commissioner Kumalo says, it's 3 years, and there was no report on this. But once you became aware of it, after Commissioner Spies testified, did you pick up the matter with those investigators responsible for Meyatin to at least establish what was happening in this case?
Yes, they said they do not have that matter. This matter in particular that relates to the clip.
And you left it there?
No, the decision is that we are going to then look into the matter because at the time we were busy preparing for the commission. But the idea is that we need to look at it thoroughly because the way it is, it's not just an obvious matter that you would just send anybody to go and, because now it has become clear that something was not done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Spies, in his statement, lists this as a Meyatin theft copper case, 72/8/2022, a case number, Meyatin. Correct. So in your page 17, at your page 17, item 1, you say it was established that case 7208/2022 was not related to the copper theft allegations. You see that?
Yes.
What did you establish that case to be about?
It relates to the theft of copper cable from that belongs to Transnet.
No, sorry, I'm talking about case number 72/08/2022. Is that what you're answering to?
Yes, that's
Okay.
what I'm answering to say it doesn't link to the video clip, but although it does talk to the fact that it relates to the copper, and there are others, of course,
because the reality is that the ferrous and non-ferrous metals, it's a big business. So in every case, in many of the police stations, you'll find many of those cases being reported on a monthly basis that relates to copper. So, but these ones, there are a number of them that were opened during that period, and including this one, but they don't relate to the clip. So now, hence we thought it prudent that we need to sit down and strategize and look into this. So it's something that we will, of course, do this coming week. But within this month, we should have made some progress.
And lastly, if this links into a question posed earlier, I think by the chair, upon receipt, let's not talk specifically about this clip, but upon receipt by any of the investigators of IPID, let's say, as in this case, of a clip where the commission of an offense is conclusive, you can see from the clip that there is an offense committed, with no complaint or report to the police station, does IPID have the power to initiate the investigations based on the evidence received? Would IPID have such a power?
Commissioner, it's possible that sometimes we do react on articles, paper articles, clips. We do that. And especially some of this from the media platforms, we do look into that and just to try and verify as to whether do we have this case, particularly where it is clear that there is police involvement on matters that falls within our mandate. But I think the tricky part about this one in particular was that the person that sends this clip.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kifelaga, if I may just interject. Perhaps I was not as clear as I hoped to. I'm asking generally.
Yeah.
If a video clip is sent to any of the investigators in IPID, and when you watch that clip, you see a clear commission of a crime by seemingly a police officer, would IPID have the power to initiate its own investigation just based purely on the clip in the absence of a report having been made to the police station? Do you have that power or you don't, to your understanding?
I think I understand the question. In terms of the powers, we do have the powers to can do that, because I'm talking that from previous experience, that we would then inquire about, we would do the follow-ups about the matters, particularly if it's just circulating, to try and check, I see this, is it in your province? Sometimes I'll have an indication that this happened.